Well, the debate was last night. I thought it was entertaining. And Trump got in a bunch of great zingers, but the political analysts started hooting and banging their heads on the table, screaming, Kamala Harris won. They all high-fived each other. They formed a circle of jerks and petted each other on the back. That's how we keep it family-friendly here. Well, here's the news. In a couple different panels, actually, it's either undecided or Donald Trump won among undecided voters. In fact, we have one viral clip from CNN where an undecided voter says, I just don't know if I can afford the risk of another Kamala Harris administration. She did not explain what she's going to do. This was Kamala Harris's to lose. Trump was already gaining in the polls. He's already winning in Nate Silver's forecast model and in the prediction markets. And Kamala Harris needed an opportunity to tell the American people why she's different, and she didn't do it. While she may have appeared more collected and more prepared, and that's what political analysts like, she didn't actually articulate anything. So we're going to get into that, and we'll talk all about the debate. And, oh, man, Springfield, Ohio, you poor, poor small town. I mean, you're poor in the sense that we empathize with all of the migrants that are coming causing problems. But now you're going to have 10,000 journalists. And I don't know what's worse, 10,000 corporate press journalists descending on my city, or, you know, illegal immigrants who aren't, who are hunting pets. It's a tough decision. It's hard to say. So we're going to talk about all that, my friends. Before we get started, head over to castbrew.com and buy Cast Brew coffee. We've got Alex Stein's Primetime Grind. We've got Ian's Graphene Dream, Appalachian Nights, Rise of the Roberto Jr., and, of course, Mr. Bokus ground coffee is gone. But we still have 45 bags left of the Mr. Bokus Pumpkin Spice Experience whole bean. That's it. Once these are sold, they will never exist again. We retired this because Mr. Bokus passed, and we didn't feel right. But we are going to make a Focus with Mr. Bokus espresso blend in his memory. It's new, and the bag will actually, be in remembrance of Mr. Bokus, our cat. So Casper.com. Also head over to Timcast.com. Click Join Us to become a member and support our work directly. As a member, you'll get access to the members-only uncensored show where you get to call in and talk to us and our guest. So when you're sitting there at home and you're watching and you're like, Tim is wrong about this, I wish I could tell him. Well, now you can. Become a member, and we do it two ways. First, you be a member for $10 a month for at least 6 months, and then you get instantly upgraded. We do this because we have weirdos and creeps trying to come in and disrupt the community and make it hard for us to do the show. But if you don't want to wait, you sign up at $25 a month, you jump the line. We had to have some kind of barrier for entry because we were having, like I mentioned, weirdos. They're trying to come in, make it harder for us to find good callers and talk with the community. So that's something you can do. And I encourage it. We love when you guys come on the members only and you have good debate questions. So it makes for a good show. Smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Daniel Turner.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Daniel Turner, Power of the Future, all things energy, climate, fossil fuels, etc., and to debate and pets. So I'm looking forward to talking about all those things.
Dude, the stuff coming out of Ohio is nuts. There's pictures of dead pigs. The media keeps saying it's false. We have locals on the ground who are like, I live here and I see cats getting eaten. And it's just... Okay, so we'll talk about that. Libby's hanging out.
I'm hanging out. I'm Libby Emmons. I'm with the Post Millennial and HumanEvents.com. Glad to be here.
And you made it's your birthday.
It's my birthday, so I made cupcakes, but everyone is too health conscious to eat cupcakes.
I had one. I may have a second.
Was
They
it
were really good. Very good. Really good.
Good cupcakes.
I'm gonna have one. They look amazing. They look like they came from a professional bakery. So
well, it's a Nutella buttercream over a vanilla maple cupcake.
This is feeling very trad. I'm getting lots of trad vibes right now.
I just really
like
I like baking. What can I say? I like cooking.
Do you want to tell that joke real quick? That was so good. Credit to your son.
I can tell you guys my son's knock-knock jokes. So he and his dad, they'll like sit around making jokes.
So I'll ask you then, right?
Go for it.
Knock knock. Wait. Are you supposed to say knock knock?
Yes.
Do you want to do the punchline or do you want me to?
You do the punchline. So what do I say?
So knock knock.
Who's there?
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris who?
I'm sorry, we're not taking questions right now.
That's a good one. I like that. Yeah, your son. How old's your son?
He's 14.
That's
He came
clever.
up with that. That's a good one. I was laughing.
He's good.
I like
it's a good joke.
I like that you said now he's just applying that punchline to everything though.
He is.
That's
Yeah,
where
no,
the comic
like, he
genius of
had
a
a thing
14-year-old.
too. Then he was like, "Mom, how many people from the Kamala Harris campaign does it take to screw in a light bulb?" And I said, "I don't know how many." And he said, "I'm sorry, we're not taking questions right now." It's like every joke. That's the punchline.
You're about to get an angry letter from the Harris Walls campaign.
Dude, that
Cease and desist. Yes, exactly.
Well, then they should take some questions, and we wouldn't joke about it.
It is crazy. We have a full debate and she still hasn't taken questions. Anyway,
she's
I'm Hannah Claire Brimlow. I'm a writer for SCNR.com. we have probably talked more on this air than Kamala has ever talked in her life. It's crazy.
All right, let's get into it. We've got this from the Post-Millennial. Undecided voters support Trump after the debate say Harris was vague on policy plans, according to a Reuters survey. This is fascinating. Quote, I still don't know what she is for, said 61-year-old Mark Kadish, an entrepreneur from Florida. There was no real meat and bones for her plans. In the aftermath of Tuesday night's primetime debate, Reuters spoke with 10 undecided voters, with 6 saying after the debate that they would vote for Trump or were leaning towards supporting him. 3 said the same for Harris, and 1 remained unsure. So we also have the story from the New York Times saying pundits have said Harris won the debate. Undecided voters weren't so sure. I love this. I'll tell you my assessment, right? I did a morning show breakdown of where I thought we were going to be in this. And my point, there's this great article where NYU gender swapped Trump and Hillary and then had a mock debate where they had the actors read lines and then asked the audience who they thought won. And everybody thought Trump won. The argument was that people were sexist. That's why they wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton. If you made Trump the woman, then people would vote for the man. And wrong. The audience hated the smarmy, snooty, know-it-all attitude of Hillary Clinton. And that's all Kamala Harris brought. Frank Luntz even pointed out that Kamala was winning on points, but she was losing on optics.
I'm going to do it.
Exactly.
Do
The weird chin thing. What was that? When she's like this, she's like
The very intense pursing of the lips and
Very
shaking
strange.
her head.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
I'm gonna tell you exactly what I think most undecided people heard the whole debate. Kamala going and Trump going and I'm explaining this to my friends because they're like, what happened with the debate? Who won? And I was like, look, man, if someone is undecided right now, they are not paying attention to politics. So when Kamala Harris goes, Donald Trump's Project 2025 is going to invert the polarity on our tax system, and I'm going to go optimistic when I invert and go to the Federal Reserve, and it's just like, I'm hearing words. I don't know what that means or what you're offering. So what do they see? Kamala Harris comes off as condescending, snooty, and indifferent. Her attitude did not convey urgency or passion. Donald Trump was angry. At times, it's not good for him, but he conveyed someone who was frustrated and upset with the state of this country. Now imagine you're a run-of-the-mill dude, undecided. You don't care about politics. You just want to watch the game with your buddies, and you couldn't get the wings this time around because or better yet, it's Monday Night Football. And your buddies are like, hey, are we going to come over watch the game? It's like, dude, I got to do OT. Man, I've been putting in extra hours because I got to make ends meet and it's getting tough out there. And like, oh, come on, man. Now this guy's frustrated. He's pissed off. He worked over the weekend. His wife came to him and said, we're not going to be able to pay the phone bill. And he's like, I'll ask for a OT shift. I'll see if I can pick something up. And now he's pissed off. Now he's like, I just wanted to hang out with my buddies once this week, once. What does he see? Kamala Harris going, well, stop. And then he sees Trump angry, saying this country is being destroyed. And he's just sitting there with his beer, squeezing it, going, yeah. So I think I think emotions matter more. The pundits and the politicians, these are midwits. And that doesn't mean they're stupid. It means they're slightly above average. They're sitting there going, that's right. Kamala had a great line of attack. Ooh, she got Trump angry. And we're talking about undecided voters, people who aren't in politics and how they react to the emotion of the night.
Yeah, inside the Beltway crowd loved Kamala last night, but the debate is not for them, right? They were going to be in the tank for Kamala regardless because they skew to the left. But I agree with you in the sense that your average American has to be frustrated with the status quo, and they are frustrated with it. And so what she presented, which were just platitudes, right? I have a vision for an opportunity economy so that when we invest in the American dreams, it doesn't really
a lot of
fly.
this motion.
Yeah, it doesn't really fly. So people are frustrated. Like, why is water so damn expensive, right? Why is my bill so expensive?
I was at the movies the other day, and I paid $7.25 for a bottle of Dasani water.
Those are movie theaters.
Yeah, but $7, that's more than you pay like from a Central Park vendor.
That's twice a gallon of gas.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. It made me mad.
Yeah.
It's
I
eggs.
didn't get anything else.
It's eggs. And I think Trump made these points. He said, I think 2 or 3 times, why haven't you done it now? That was his closing statement, which was great. And he had the inflation might be up several points, but for some areas of the economy, it's 20%, it's 30%, it's 40%. Rent is up something like, what is it? Do you guys know what the rent is up? They're
Rent's
Fox.
up, car insurance is up. I mean,
They're up 20 to 50%.
car insurance is like 26%.
Kamala Harris's plan to fix all of this is to institute price controls on all of these things, which would create its own problems for, the entire supply and demand industry. Right. We'd end up with more supply chain problems. We'd end up with, if you jack up, if you tell people that they can't charge market rate for rents, why are they going to invest in more properties?
Yeah, you can't say we have a housing crisis and then also not offer a reasonable solution. I think the Harris-Walz campaign missed the mark on what the objective of the debate was for them. They maybe wanted to get under Trump's skin because they think if Trump looks like he's, aggressive, or, if they feel the criticism the media always gives him is he rambles, right? If they felt like they got one of those moments, then they felt victorious. But actually, all the pollsters indicated that undecided voters repeatedly said, well, I don't really know what her policies are. I don't really know her that well. I don't really know what she's standing for. I don't know what she's promising. I mean, fair enough, considering she just sort of announced her policies on her website. So, yes, there are times when maybe she, baited Trump with a crowd-sized comment. But ultimately, Kamala Harris, if she was serious about winning undecided voters, would have gone into detail on her policies, and she just didn't.
Kamala, okay. Have you noticed how they get really angry about that?
Yeah.
In the New York Times Siena poll, it said COMMA, comma, LUH in huge caps. Like, they're really
They
mad.
had to have the phonetic spelling out there. That's fascinating.
I know.
One thing that I loved was that Jake Tapper actually pointed this out. And he said, Vice President Harris began the debate by punting the first question on the economy, on the border, another vulnerable issue for Harris she also dodged. When asked how she would break through the Israel-Hamas war stalemate, okay, but how? And that's Jake Tapper.
She's going to do it by doing it, because when we work together, historically, presidential
when we're
debates
by what has been,
I know nothing is normal anymore, and I think Americans are longing for a sense of normalcy. Presidential debates, there's normally been 3. And they were always thematic. There was a foreign policy one.
That's a really good point.
There was an economics one. Last night, or the last 2 debates have been hodgepodge, everything. Abortion, the border, foreign policy. And it is too many topics for one debate. But if there was a debate on the economy, as you were saying, Libby, when she talked about her plan, every one of her plans is money. My small business plan, $50,000. My housing plan, $25,000. My family plan, $6,000. My student loan plan, free student loan forgiveness. An economic debate would say, where the hell are we getting all this money from, right? It's not a plan to give out money.
Question. And it's like, why are we giving away all of this money? Like, what happened to working hard and figuring your stuff out so that you could take care of things? Like, people in my family, my cousins who are extremely intelligent, they went to schools that they could afford. And then, they didn't want to take out a bunch of student loans, so they figured it out. You save a lot of money for years and years and years to get a down payment on a house. I mean, you work really hard for that. When I was a kid, my dad and my stepmom were trying to buy a home. And so she went back to work for a long time. And I remember distinctly all her money was going to the down payment.
Right.
And
people do this when
as
they're
well
saving
as some
for
of my
retirement,
dads.
right?
You save money, you work hard to get what you want. And if you have everything given to you, you don't really value it. And this is something that the lefty billionaires know, and it's why they don't leave any money to their kids.
We need to address the most important element of last night's debate, the zingers. Donald Trump won all of them. Kamala Harris got none, and that's the only thing that matters in my opinion. Now, I'm being a bit facetious. Obviously, there's sound bites that will come out of this debate that people will prop up. But when it comes to the short attention span internet economy, do you think someone is going to have success to get millions of views on a video of Kamala Harris going, well, let me answer that question, but first, an opportunity economy? It's like, next. Or are they going to play the clip of Trump going, I'm talking, please, remember that one?
They're eating
Next.
your pets.
Yep.
They're eating your pets. That's a
run,
soundbite.
spot, run, 4 lines. Trump, in 3 seconds, gets a hilarious clip that is easy to go viral, that makes Kamala look like she got beat. I'm going to tell you, man, if the average person doesn't get politics and doesn't like the snooty, condescending, elitist attitude of someone like Kamala Harris, then they're going to want to roast. And Donald Trump delivered. To a young guy, let's say he's 26, 27, doesn't care for politics. He's going to see a clip on Instagram and TikTok of Trump saying, she's got no place. Or no, my favorite one is, maybe you can go wake up Joe Biden. He's probably sleeping. Maybe he's spending time on the beach. Saying things like that. You know that meme where it's all the black dudes and they're going, oh, and the guy's grabbing his face?
I like that meme. Trump, it makes me laugh every time.
That meme was applicable to Trump like 5 to 7 times last night. Kamala did not have one of those.
Yeah, well, she won the Inside the Beltway crowd, right? Because it was the dignified, it was the, she looked prepared, she looked rehearsed, etc. But that's not who the voters are. And that's definitely not the undecided voters. And at this point of a campaign, and I've worked on a couple of campaigns, including presidentials, at this point, the only purpose of the debate is to get people to vote. Why am I going to get off my couch? I think Jack Posobiec was the one who said, and I love this quote, right? The biggest problem of the biggest threat to the right is the couch. And I thought, like, absolutely, right? Yep. Why am I getting up to go, even despite early voting and all that? Why am I going to get up? So Kamala's problem right now is not Trump voters. They're not flip-flopping, right? No Trump voter is leaving Trump to go vote for her. Her problem is, why do I want to vote for you, Kamala? Why do I want to get off the couch and vote for you? We know the enthusiasm behind Obama, right? And that was legit. People wanted to go vote for him. We saw that in 2016. I think a lot of people wanted to vote against Hillary as well, but there was enthusiasm to go vote. Why do I want to vote in 2024? Life sucks. Everything is expensive. The country is divided. I'm tired. You just mentioned rent and car prices. I can't afford anything. Why the hell am I going to vote?
So the people that are saying it is a cope to say that Trump didn't win, I will stress, especially if you watch my full morning show, Kamala seemed more prepared. Trump was thrown off base and got angry in several moments. But we're talking about what matters most, and it's predicated upon why is it that when undecided voters are paneled, they either say no one or they say Trump. That's the question. Mm-hmm. So I'll tell you this. The cope is when you go, no, Kamala won. Kamala actually won. Well, look, if you're a Politico and you're watching and you expect you expect some kind of decorum, sure, maybe Kamala won. But Kamala won the same way Hillary Clinton won. And I can pull all these up. Here you go. Let's see if I can pull these up. Politico. Hillary Clinton won the second debate. October 2016. I wonder how that worked out for her. 538. Clinton won the debate, which means she'll likely gain in the polls. If she doesn't, Trump could be tough to beat. Nate Silver said that in 2016. She clearly didn't win the debate. She lost the election miserably to a guy they all predicted could not win. And so what happens is, I think it's fair to give Kamala Harris, and I said this even before the debate started, she's going to do better than a lot of people think. And so I'm saying that now for the sound bites, because everybody's coming out saying he's going to mop the floor with her, but I think she'll do better. Trump had an opportunity. I do think he missed it. I don't think he got a clear and decisive victory, but I think he wins out overall for a variety of reasons. Kamala won political points. She lost on the image. Frank Lund said that. If we're talking about the outcome is clear. Undecided voters are leaning towards Trump after this. Let me see if I can pull up the CNN clip, actually. We'll run that for the next segment, where the woman says, I don't know, she didn't articulate her positions. I just can't risk that. That right there.
This is the thing that she had to do. Like, she had to define who she was in more than just platitudes, and she failed. I mean, so 538, which I know you referenced before, has a podcast talking about the election, and all of the analysts pointed out that Hillary Clinton gained in the polls after every single one of the debates. But I don't remember anything she said from the 2016 cycle. I do remember what Trump said. I mean, famously, you'd be in jail, right? Like, those were clear memories from the debate that voters carried forward. And I think, again, I don't think this was his best performance of all time. I think that there were obviously some missteps, but generally he was able to land more specific criticisms than she was. And then she also missed the opportunity to define herself and sidestepped specific questions. Like when she was asked about why didn't the Biden administration repeal the tariffs that Trump had? You're critical of them. Why didn't you do anything about it? She just completely ignored the questions, and voters want specifics.
Let's pull this up. We've got this post from Charlie Kirk, undecided voter on CNN panel. Let's play the video. Here we go.
I think it's important to remember that we are voting for the leader of our country and not who we like the most or who we want in our wedding party, but who is actually going to make our country better. And we're in an incredibly unique situation where we've had both of the candidates in office before, and we've gotten to see what they would do. And when facts come to facts, my life was better when Trump was in office. The economy was higher, inflation was lower. things were better overall. And now with Kamala's administration, things haven't been so fantastic. And she's saying she can fix the problems that her administration has caused, but I just don't know if I can afford to take that risk.
Were you leaning towards the former president coming in tonight?
Probably.
And did you vote for him in 2016 or 2020?
I did. I think it's important to
Now, I want to make sure we show this as well. A tweet from Frank Luntz where he says the same panel said by an 8-4 margin that Kamala Harris won tonight's debate. Now, I've got questions about this. I got no problem with criticizing Donald Trump's performance. He got flustered. He got angry. And it's funny because I put that on Twitter and I get people saying, stop riding the fence, Tim. It's either Trump is good or Trump is bad. Shut up. Donald Trump did some things that were good. I think he won with emotion. I don't think that he won the politics of it. So here's my question with this panel and the sentiment. Obviously, conservatives are going to share the CNN undecided voter saying, you know what? I don't know. Kamala hasn't proven that she could do this. What does it mean to win a debate? When I watch this, and I, as someone who's leaning towards Trump, say I think Kamala did well in terms of what decorum should be. I understand why the pundits are saying they think she won. That's their attitude towards it. Does that mean my vote has changed? No. When these people say Kamala won the debate, does it mean that they will now vote for her? Or is it fair to say, I think Kamala won the debate because Trump got too angry and didn't give good answers? That being said, Kamala also didn't explain any of her positions, so I don't know who I'm supposed to vote for. When New York Times runs an article saying our panelists are undecided, they couldn't figure it out. When Reuters runs a panel and says actually 6 out of 10 said Donald Trump, it does not seem fair to say that the end result, the material victory is in winning what a debate should be, but in whether or not you've convinced them to vote for you. Yeah. And saying Kamala won is not the same thing as saying, I will now vote for her.
That woman's
Yeah.
Go
I was
going to say that woman's voice is very shaky, and it's probably because she's on TV. But she's also probably very nervous to state that position because that's not the cool position, right? The cool position is, I like Kamala, right? And so she's probably petrified to say, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I'm probably going to get beat up for it. But life was better under President Trump. So kudos to her for being brave enough to do it. And I think the average American, I think a lot of Americans, or maybe the majority of Americans, are going to express that same sentiment. Yeah, I probably would rather have Kamala at my bridal party, but life was better under Trump, and I just have to go that way.
I would rather have Trump in my bridal party.
Absolutely. No, that's what she's saying. That's what she's saying.
Oh,
that was her line was, who would you rather have?
Kamala Harris seems like the same kind of girl that would push you into the locker,
Well, Kamala does drink, though, and Trump doesn't. So, I mean, if you want to have a party, I would rather.
She might be a better
No, Trump doesn't
down
need
for
a
a
drink
vineyard
to have a
wedding.
party. He doesn't need a drink to have a party. He has a good time anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
I
he
get
could be
the
sober
sentiment
and
of
have
like,
fun.
I like this sentiment of like, we are not actually voting for someone that we are going to hang out with. We're voting for someone who's representing the country. I think the myth of he seems like a person I could have a beer with is actually a disservice to voters. There are lots of people who do jobs that I don't want to hang out with, but they're very good at what they do. I'd be happy. Like, think of like a very intense defense attorney. Mm-hmm. They might be really aggressive. You may not want to invite them over for game night, but if you're in court, you want the person who's going to do the best job. And I think that this fear that the candidate has to be someone everyone's really, I mean, Kamala Harris says this all the time. I'm from the middle class because she's trying so desperately to connect with voters.
Yeah, but you saw where she grew up in Montreal, like in Westmount. It's this beautiful,
and also
pretty
you're
wealthy
relatable by your personality, right? Donald Trump does resonate with people, even though he, grew up fairly wealthy. He obviously built this career. People still feel like he is someone that they relate to, connect with. I mean, look at all of the times that his poll numbers have surged after he has been elected. People feel an emotional connection to him that the Harris-Walz campaign cannot create, and they're never going to be able to.
Yeah, Trump is a known quantity, right? There's no one who doesn't know who he is, doesn't have strong opinions on him. He's not going to move the needle on his own likability, favorability, electability. That's set in stone. I agree with what Tim was saying. The onus is on the vice president to drive up her electability. How much did she do that? She probably did it a little bit, but did she do it enough to overcome for the fact that eggs are $4 a dozen and that meat is $8.95 a pound and that my car insurance has gone up 25%? So that the onus is on her. I do think, if to simplistic terms, is it Trump's to lose? I think she has more responsibility, and that was the advantage she had when it was Biden, because Biden was a known quantity,
right?
And people rejected him categorically. So one of the things I think President Trump missed was I think he should have hit that a little more, right? The woman who calls me a threat to democracy, who viciously calls me a threat to democracy, is standing here and not one person voted for her. How'd you get here, Kamala? Is there is it a threat to democracy that the Democrat Party threw away the votes of millions of people who voted for Joe Biden? Right? I'm the threat to democracy. I just think he should have almost made it like comical. I just think it's fascinating that I'm standing next to you.
Right.
Because no one voted for you, and yet here you are.
Well, the other thing, too, is the moderators really did not do them any favor, do Trump any favors.
No.
They fact-checked Trump falsely on an abortion thing. There are 8 states that have absolutely no limits on abortion. They
didn't fact-check any of Kamala's
They
lies?
didn't fact-check any of her lies, and she had so many lies. The Project 2025 lie, the bloodbath lie, the Charlottesville lie. She lied about January 6th. She lied about his affiliation with Project 2025. She lied about immigration. She lied about, Trump's plans for the economy. At every step of the way, she lied. They didn't fact check her on that. They didn't say anything about that. And when they did fact check Trump, they were wrong. The bill that Chuck Schumer keeps trying to bring up to make, abortion federally legislated has no limits on abortion. It's in there under at any point in the pregnancy for the life of the mother, including mental health, which could be anything.
You know what I'd have done? When Kamala said, she said officers died on January 6th. Any one of these lies was a perfect opportunity for Donald Trump. When they say, Mr. Trump, a response, I just look at David and I'd say, do you want to fact check that? And then I'd wait. And he'd be like, what? And it'd be like, you said you were fact checking in real time, so I don't want to interrupt you as you fact check her because
she's lying.
Yeah. So would you
She
would you
just
mind?
lied repeatedly.
Would you mind? And also, and you could do that every time. She says the bloodbath thing. Trump could have just went, "Are you guys are going to fact check that? You're not fact checking that. Is there a reason why you're not fact checking that? Okay. Do you want me to say? Okay, the bloodbath thing was economics. I was talking about the auto industry. Next question. Trump. If they want, if David, how do you pronounce the guy's name? Muir.
Like
Muir.
demure.
Okay.
Very mindful.
Nobody
demure.
knows.
Very demure.
No, Hannah
I'm
Clay's right.
confident in what I'm saying.
If he wanted to be in the debate, then Trump should have welcomed him back in the debate every step of the way. I think he should have.
I think the greatest bias that David Muir showed last night was that if the roles had been reversed of the assassination attempt, and God hope it never happens to anybody, if it had been the vice president or Joe Biden who almost got killed at an event, the opening line to Mr. Trump would have been, President Trump, 6 weeks ago, your opponent was almost killed. The political violence in this country nearly cost her life. Is there something you would like to say to her right now that she survived this assassination attempt? And do you agree that we have reached a level of political violence that is unattainable? And do you hold some responsibility? That would have been the opening damn question
100%
to
you're so
Trump.
right.
And
and they would have blamed. They would have blamed
He had to
him
bring
for
it up himself.
100%.
He was the one who had to bring up his own assassination attempt,
Didn't
which
acknowledge
is
it.
crazy because the Joe Biden administration, the Biden-Harris administration, I know she wants to have her name attached to it, at least she used to, they talked about gun violence all the time. And then suddenly they're sort of like, well, we're not going to talk about it anymore. Suddenly Kamala Harris is a gun owner. Did you hear that one?
Yeah, what guns do you...
Big twist.
What guns do you own?
Right.
I didn't know you were a gun.
Very non-specific answer.
That would have been my Trumpism also. The vice president, you're a gun owner. Wow, what guns do you own? When did you buy them?
Which one's your favorite?
Which one? Yeah, exactly.
And I could be
How many
wrong.
magazine
I got a favorite.
clips? How many magazine clips do you have? Just use fake terms that and catch her because they use fake terms. Or Joe Biden would always say, "This magazine clip has 45 rounds." People are like, "What the hell is he talking
Magazine
about?"
clip.
Right? So
We just got so used to him not
Fully
being said.
semi-automatic.
full semi AR style 15. What you mean? It was long, right? AR-15 style gun.
Yeah.
Oh, what does that mean?
It's a semi-automatic rifle. Are you saying it's a 5.56? I don't know what you're trying to say with that.
I think voters knew Trump might get, agitated. He might make some bold claims. It's not surprising to them that he did that. Kamala Harris sort of did nothing. She did not define herself well enough. And that's why so much of the media coverage afterward is actually like, well, she got Trump to do this. Oh, well, she said this thing to Trump, and here's how Trump reacted. They're acting like she won, but she didn't define herself. She did not set herself apart. we don't really know what her policies are other than some fun labels, the opportunity economy, whatever. And I think long term that will hurt her no matter what the polls say. Like I pointed out before, Hillary Clinton supposedly won all the debates and surged in the polls and somehow lost the election. So,
well, let's jump to this story. During last night's debate, Donald Trump said that Joe Biden hates Kamala. And then a day later, Joe Biden did this. He put on a Trump hat. It's a real photo. CBS also says Biden wears Trump 2024 hat at Pennsylvania fire station to promote unity. He didn't. He literally just was handed a hat and put it on. This is why I hate the machine state. Okay.
Yeah, that's a disgusting headline, and it's a complete lie.
It's
he just was doing what he was, and he's also he's like, oh, I'm folksy. They give me a hat, I'll just put it on.
Right. And so this is what the media does. Joe Biden will be up on stage and he'll be looking around and he'll go, the economy. We got to, watch that, my economy. And then you're just going, what? But then the media writes, in an impassioned speech, Joe Biden said the economy was a central focus of his administration. It's like, no, he didn't. He said, blah, 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 blah. But then instead of quoting him,
he has a stutter.
They paraphrase and give you the idea of what they think he was saying. Joe Biden put on a Trump hat. That's the news. There's nothing else. I can tell you nothing else. Joe Biden went to an event. He was at a fire station. Someone handed him a Trump hat. He put it on. Make up for your mind why he did it or what it means. For the media to now run this, and all these leftists are saying it's because he believes in national unity and he's a good guy. No, he was handed a hat. He put it on. Maybe he didn't even know it said Trump on it.
He always calls Trump supporters MAGA extremists. He obviously does not care about unity. It's so much funnier to me that he didn't really, if you watch the video, he looks a little bit lost. He puts it on. And somewhere in the periphery of this video, one of his handlers is like, no, don't do this. Like,
I'm going to say this because we're allowed to do it. Biden wears Trump 2024 hat in endorsement of Trump's reelection campaign.
Wow, he endorsed Trump. That's great.
I mean,
look at that.
If they can say to promote unity, then I can say to endorse Trump.
Why not? Anything is game. Anything is game. I don't think he's confused. I don't think he knew what he was doing. As a politician, never wear a hat.
After he did it, what happened was
don't eat, never wear a hat.
White House press secretary said he's promoting bipartisan unity.
Oh.
The media then says, okay, thank you for our talking point. We'll say that.
Yeah.
I mean, but why hasn't he been doing this for the past 3 years, right? Like, he doesn't care about bipartisan unity at all. I actually do feel like there is a little bit of resentment, not even a little bit. I think there's a ton of resentment towards Kamala Harris. In this moment, he just looks so bewildered and confused that there is a chance he didn't know what he was putting on. But
I think he didn't know where he was.
Yeah, of course, he never does. But I think he actually does not like Kamala Harris. I mean, she let Donald Trump trash him on stage, which twofold works for Donald Trump because she cannot separate herself from the Biden administration. You notice that she doesn't say Biden's name. She avoided it as much as possible, but she would say, well, we accomplished this when it was the Biden-Harris administration. In this case, I can only imagine that Joe Biden, in a lucid moment, is wondering when he sees these clips why this lady that she gave a huge platform to, this nice lady who's been following him around for the past couple of years, isn't saying anything in his defense.
Yeah, I think it's hysterical that she was trying to promote her foreign policy bona fides by saying a couple days before the Ukraine invasion she was over there. And you want to think, you're definitely smart, you're talented, you've made it thus far. You've been vice president for a hot minute. You were a senator for about 2 years. You're in this room with NATO leaders. You don't know what the hell is going on. You have no idea why you're there. You don't know anything about the military. You know probably nothing about foreign policy. And to give this idea that, like, on my 4th day in office, I went over to Kyiv and convened these world leaders. I would have loved to have been in that room as she was sitting down with these world leaders, being like, what the hell is, I didn't know France was going to be here. Yeah, Madam Vice President, France is going to be here.
They gave her a seat at the table and they're like, okay, just listen. It's
sit.
cool.
Yeah.
And like Trump pointed out, great job. Russia's still invaded.
So you said that Kamala Harris didn't mention Biden last night, and that is substantially true. She mentioned him to say that she is not Joe Biden, to say that, Trump is not running against Joe Biden. And she mentioned him when talking about the Afghanistan withdrawal, which killed 13 servicemen and women. Those are the only times. Those were the only times that she mentioned him. I've been scanning through. I pulled up the transcript of the debate just to see, some different things. And Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous.
She laid Joe Biden to rest at the DNC. He went first. He talked about that she would continue on the work that he has done with his administration. And then several days later, she came on stage, said goodbye to Joe, and basically only talked about herself from then on. She does not want to be associated with Joe Biden. And at the same time is sort of recycling policies. I mean, didn't Raheem Kassam on Monday point out that like her
So we have,
policies on the website?
Just a quick correction. Biden did ask for the hat. He knew exactly what it was.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's even funnier. He
even
does
funnier.
hate her.
That's even funnier.
That's way better. Raheem Kassam put it out
great.
on Monday that if you go to the code section of her policy page,
That's
it's
right.
actually lifted off of Biden's. I mean, she is 100% just another reiteration of the Biden machine, no matter how hard she fights it.
You have to remember, too, there's no Biden machine. Kamala Harris would be the continuation of the Obama era. And that's sort of part of the goal.
It's always a rebound. It was Obama,
Yeah.
and now it's Biden, and then
Yeah.
we want it to be Harris. I didn't think that one's going to work as well as I think.
Well, this is what she had to accomplish last night, and as well as she did, and she was prepared, and the media is saying she won. One of the things that she had to do was she had to explain one of two things. You're either a brilliant vice president, and this administration is great, but everyone knows that's false, right? Because the economy is in terrible shape. The world has broken out into warfare. So it's either that, or you are this brilliant mind independent of the administration, and I just sat there for 3.5 years as a coward. I hid the fact that Biden is mentally incapacitated, and I had no ability to put any of my agenda or all these great policy ideas into play. So you have to elect me, and then I will do great things, but I haven't been able to do it thus far. It's one of those two, and I don't think the audience believes that it's the latter, that you're this gifted mind with these wonderful policies, and you just haven't been able to get them through the Biden administration. People don't believe she's an independent actor separate from Joe Biden.
Well, because she's not an independent actor separate from Joe Biden. She is intrinsically linked to him. She is
Tethered.
Yeah, she is the DEI vice president. And, if she wins, she would be the DEI president. And there's no getting around that.
Yeah.
And if I were her, I would find that to be kind of humiliating. And I would go really crazy to make sure that I was differentiating myself, but with actual policy positions. And she hasn't done that. Instead, when she did that, one interview, and now she's done one debate, what she said in that interview was that her values hadn't changed. But she's continually backtracking on things that she previously said were core values. So if her values hadn't changed, then she is lying to the American people now. She is lying to voters now. And even Bernie Sanders, when asked about it, said she's saying what she has to say to get elected. And I don't know if you guys remember this back in 2008, but you had Obama, who was then he was a senator, right?
2 years.
Yeah, and he was going around saying something different to everyone. He was saying, yes, gay marriage to some people, no gay marriage to other people. He was going around, he always had a different answer. He was talking out of both sides of his mouth. And I remember talking to, my big lefty friends about it at the time and being like, but he said this and he said this. He said he's going to bring more troops into Afghanistan. And they were like, no, he's not going to do that. Everybody was able to assume that Obama was speaking in code and that he actually stood for exactly what they wanted him to stand for. And that's something that Kamala Harris is trying to do. But I don't think it's going to be effective because we've all seen this already. And we were lied to by Obama. Everyone thought he was going to be anti-war, even though he said he was going to go into Afghanistan. And we just got out of Afghanistan. And now no women in Afghanistan can speak in public or get an education. And we lost 13 guys trying to get out of there. And the Taliban had a military parade with all our equipment.
It's Obama was the reverse dog whistle. He would say something, excuse me, and the war thing's a great point because Obama had talked about pulling out of Iraq, but surging in Afghanistan, and that's what he ended up doing. But it was all code. He would say something, and then people would say, no, he's just saying that. He's actually wink, wink, And then with Donald Trump, Trump's like, I want civil rights for everybody. Yeah, but he doesn't mean that. He's actually saying what we want. These people live in some kind of it's like they're wearing drunk goggles, the beer goggles that make everything look warped and twisted. It doesn't matter what Trump says. It doesn't matter what Kamala says. When they look at Kamala, rose-colored glasses might be a nicer way to put it. Kamala just smiles at the camera and says, I'm going to help you. And Trump's going,
Well, those are different glasses. Those are the classes.
There was a moment last night that David Muir asked her, Madam Vice President, you once believed this on fracking, you now say the opposite. You once believed this on the EV mandates, on universal health care, you do the opposite. And she said, I'm going to get to all three of those. But let me talk about violence against women. And she went on for 5 minutes for violence against women. And then they were like, Mr. Trump. Mm-hmm. Trump should have been like, oh, what the hell was that? Like, is she going to answer the question? Like, she just completely dismissed it. And she knew she was going to dismiss it.
Yeah,
they
she
knew
started
she was
talking about that one high school friend who apparently got raped or whatever.
Which was a tragic story. But that's where President Trump should have said, I'm sorry, she didn't answer the question on fracking.
There were a couple times like that.
Why did you not answer the question on fracking?
Right. When he was asked about, do you want Ukraine to win the war? Which, by the way, I just think that question is kind of gross. This was a misstep with the CNN town hall. They tried to push him on this, and he said, which he basically said again last night, I don't want people to die. I think we should stop the loss of human life. And they followed up with, I'm going to repeat the question, do you want Ukraine to win the war? He said the same thing. They turned to Kamala Harris, and whenever they ask her a question that she avoids, there's no follow-up. There's no pushback.
I'd have just said, define winning the war, because that's an important distinction. Go. Yeah. And then when they're like, what are they going to say?
I don't know.
Do you want Ukraine to restore all of its borders to its original state before the Russian invasion? To which my response would then be, I don't know if I would prioritize the borders of the country over the dead people. Mm-hmm. So long as people are dying, priority number one is end the loss of life. We can talk about borders after the fact.
Yeah, I feel like he should have been like, winning is for sports. We're talking about people dying. I think you're losing perspective on how critical this crisis is.
Did anyone notice when they were talking about Ukraine and Kamala's passion about the internationally recognized sovereignty of a nation's border? And I thought, is anyone going to mention that?
Does she know about ours?
And that was a missed one. I love you, Mr. President, but that's where I was hoping he'd be like, I'm sorry.
I think
did you just talk about sovereign
You made a really
borders?
good point, and I had forgotten that we used to have debates that were about specific issues, and that was a big deal. But this time around, the Biden-Trump debate was on all topics because they knew they weren't going to get another one.
Yeah.
And then this one's the only
this
scheduled
one is the only scheduled one, so they had to try and hit everything. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's fair to voters to try and do that, so that you have to get millions of different policy positions in one spot. And I also don't think that it's fair to candidates, because what you had were the moderators going up there saying, Mr. Trump, why are you just absolutely the worst guy in the history? And he's going, I'm really not that bad. And then the question to Kamala is, why, what's your response to him saying he's not that bad?
I don't know what this is from, but there's a cartoon someone posted a day before the debate, and they said, is this how the debate's going to go? And it's a frog and a disgusting looking guy. And then the debate moderator goes, Mr. Frog, why are you so evil? You have 1 second. And he goes, hello. And they go, out of time and you're wrong. And Mr. President, why are you so awesome? You have all the time you need. So that's basically how it ended up going down. We're going to jump to this next story. But before we do, smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel, share the show with your friends. Become a member at timcast.com to support our work. Let's jump to this story from The Economist. Donald Trump says immigrants are eating Springfield's pets. What? He repeated the bizarre and false claim in his presidential debate against Kamala Harris. There is no better example of what the corporate press is than we called a bureaucrat who said it wasn't happening, therefore it's confirmed. Because I got a video for you guys. From Nick Sorter, just in, a resident of Springfield, Ohio, told a reporter he witnessed Haitians in a van capturing cats, claiming they were going to eat them. Here you go. Now, I'm going to say this right away. I am not saying this is true. I don't know if I believe this guy's story, okay? I'll put it this way. I am neutral as to whether this guy's telling the truth. I don't know. I'm not going to impugn his honor. It's a guy who got interviewed and said he saw it happen. There are numerous interviews from people saying they see pigs getting decapitated, chickens, birds ducks being taken. And there are reports of people saying they've heard about pets being taken as well. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. But you decide. City manager, corporate press, or local resident, you'll have to pick for yourself.
We've lost a whole bunch of cats. There was a van pulled over that had over 100 cats in it with the Haitians. They said they was eating them.
Actually?
Yeah.
Not fake news.
Not fake news.
So a van was collecting cats and eating them.
I watched it happen, yeah. Watched them get pulled over with the cats and admit to the police that they was eating them.
You're not joshing with me.
No, I'm almost 50 years old, buddy. No.
You don't mess around.
No. We've lost.
So I don't know if I believe that. It's
I
tough
don't
to
believe that he's almost 50 because I'm almost 50 and I look better than that guy.
But we do have this.
It's not about looks. It's about policy.
Hold on. There's more. From the Post-Millennial, Haitian migrants capture geese in Springfield, Ohio. Police report. I'm sitting here. I'm riding on the trail. I'm going to my orientation for my job today, and I see a group of Haitian people. There's about 4 of them. They all had geese in their hands. It appears that there is a component of truth to the story that there are, with 15 to 20,000 Haitian migrants, that they're capturing animals. We have a police report here, Post-Millennial reporting. Who did? David reported this, David Creighton, that there's a police report obtained by the Federalist of someone saying they're capturing geese. We're now seeing on X these liberal pundits being like, what's wrong with hunting geese? And I love this. Conservatives' response is, we finally got liberals okay with hunting.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think part of the issue with this whole, cat pet Haitians thing is that it really is like a cultural cognitive dissonance. So you have leftists saying they can't possibly be eating pets because eating pets is bad and they're immigrants and immigrants are good and they would never come in and eat our pets. But for people who do eat cats, which as we were discussing pre-show is a thing in plenty of places, eating cats or dogs or pigeons or whatever else, the people who do those kinds of things, and that's part of their cuisine, don't think that there's anything wrong with them for the fact that they're doing that. They don't think that this is a bad thing. What we have here is probably a situation where we have a lot of illegal immigrants, and in this case, refugees from Biden's refugee program with his very specific countries, Cuba, Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Haiti, where you could just come in. Yeah, and there's no incentive for them to assimilate, and there's no incentive for them to, become part of American culture or American or adopt American values.
You may be wondering, my friends, do Haitians eat cats? It seems like a crazy story. Here's what you do. Take a look at this. You go to Google. I asked the question, do Haitians eat cats? Now, I want to stress this. I am not meaning to disparage Haiti. If it is that they eat cats in Haiti, I don't know. Different cultures eat different kind of animals. I don't think we're fans of that, but okay. We recognize other countries can do whatever. We're America. We do America stuff, all right? I went to Google. I clicked tools and set a custom range. I only want to see search results from before August 1st, 2024. That gives us a month lead time before this story became prominent. I could probably say September. What's the first? From 2 years ago, Haitian girl crashing at my house talked about eating cats. Just below that, August 18th, 2015. I went to Haiti and was served stewed cat. Here's one from 2011. Do Haitians eat cats and dogs? This one says, no, they don't, right? This one blog also says they don't.
No, Haiti Report says they contrary to.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. It says they don't eat cats because they're poor. They eat cats because it's tradition. So this is from March 27th, 2019 from Haitian Report. Do they eat cats in Haiti? They say it's a practice exclusively known to a select group of Haitians found mostly in some countryside villages. And it's part of, what did it say? It's part of a celebration or something? What does it say? Contrary to popular belief, they don't eat cats because they're poor. They eat because of tradition. The practice of eating cats in Haiti is not a new habit, but an old tradition started at the time of slavery. For instance, when runaway slaves hunted, killed, and ate wild cats deep in Haiti's forest and treacherous mountains many years before Haiti became a nation. So the practice of eating cats is just as old as Haiti itself. They say Haitians eat cows, goats, sheep, chicken, pork, but cat meat is a delicacy that many from the countryside can't resist. Having a réveillon without a cat is like celebrating Thanksgiving without a turkey. I don't know what this is. I don't know if it's true. Maybe the website's fake, I guess. Yeah. But I'll tell you this. I did a search several different ways and several different times, and I found numerous posts verifiably. I mean, this one right here. This is from 3 years ago. Haitian girls talks about eating cats in Haiti. All right? Here, what is this one? 12 years ago, I went to Haiti and was served stewed cat. I can confirm the meat is really delicious.
Ugh.
So this is the crazy thing. The media is saying it's false. Haitian migrants are not eating cats. It's like, okay, well, I went on Reddit and found 10-year-old posts of people saying they eat cats in Haiti. There are now 20,000 Haitians here in Ohio. So if you were to come to tell me, well, 2 things. 1, there are reports of them eating cats. And 2, they're now here in Ohio. If you then said it's possible and probable that they eat cats in Ohio, I'd say, okay.
I think part of the problem the liberal mainstream media is having is they don't want to go with the, well, it's a cultural thing. In that culture, it's okay, because we would say, but it's not a part of our culture. And if you're going to be in America, we don't treat them that way. And we can acknowledge that people's attitudes towards pets, even in America, have shifted, right? I saw this video of this like really nice old like lady, you know, she's holding someone's new kitten. She's like, oh, so cute. You know, when I was a kid, we used to drown kittens because there were just so many of them, right? Like our culture supports pets in a way that I think maybe other, especially impoverished countries, doesn't.
But also, I don't some of these things are. No, go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna. But I don't think that the problem that I have with all of this is they keep going, like the debate the last night. They're like, well, we talked to the city manager and he says no. We are also, America is the culture that had to have the, if you see something, say something report. I mean, there are a lot of people who might see people capturing pets and dogs or geese or whatever and be like, I don't really want to get involved with this situation. I just know that it'll end badly for me or no one will believe me. I don't think that one city manager saying we haven't had any reports is actually as reliable. I actually think this is one where you have to ask the townspeople, have there been big changes since this influx of people from Haiti have arrived?
And you could ask a lot of those people who were at the city council meeting in August, where clips from that city council meeting were going viral, like the guy saying that they were just picking up geese out of the parks and cutting their heads off. But the thing too about like this eating, you know, pets or dogs or cats or whatever, it was just a couple of years ago at the Post Millennial, we broke a story about, you know, an animal rights activist calling for the Minister of Infrastructure and Communities in Canada, because you have that, Catherine McKenna, to apologize because there were videos showing that she was eating a dog in Indonesia in the 90s and bribing her way into a cockfight. So it's not like an unusual thing. It's what's happening here is that Americans who believe themselves to be relativists are looking at this story saying this couldn't possibly be true because I think it's horrifying. Mm-hmm. And the people who are perhaps doing this thing don't think it's horrifying.
And if it is true, there's now a cultural hierarchy, and that's a huge problem for the left. Our culture,
even though that is what they keep advocating for with this, you know, this incinerated border.
Yeah, our culture eats cats as part of this voodoo tradition, and that's our culture. And we can't say that. No, that can't be your culture, because all cultures are equally good. Mm-hmm. And I find that repugnant, so therefore you're not possibly doing it, so therefore they don't eat cats. And if they are eating cats, well, then we're acknowledging some cultures are better than other cultures, right? There are cultures that used to bind women's feet.
Well, I was going to talk about, there were a bunch of laws that
culture.
came out in Michigan where they had to specifically go out and ban female genital mutilation. Yeah. And I remember reading one report that was like, this is anti-trans, and then actually no one talked about it anymore because it was about the immigrant communities that had, you know, for whatever reason, whether it's through legal or illegal immigration, arrived in that country and had different practices that in America we don't believe in. The West doesn't support these things, but that doesn't deny that other countries might have different value systems that say this is actually okay and traditional.
Yeah, and the new culture of Afghanistan, now that we have evacuated so precipitously, doesn't allow women to talk in public, leave the house in public. That's their culture. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to say, well, all cultures are equally beautiful, well, then we have to accept that that's totally fine. And then we're going to start importing that en masse, which we are doing. So there's a huge problem with cultural relativism here, because the left has to push that we're all equally good. And quite frankly, not all cultures are equally good.
And
it is a cultural relativist thing. And I've talked to feminists from the Middle East and Indonesia who are saying, where are the American feminists? Where are the feminists of the West who are, you know, going to stand up for us as we're forced to wear certain kinds of restrictive clothing, as we're forced to not be educated, as we're forced to have to cover our hair if we don't want to. Yep. You know, you had all these protests in Iran a couple of years ago. Where were the American feminists standing up for these women? They were nowhere to be found, because they say, oh, that's just their culture. We're going to be okay with their culture. It's a relativist situation, you know, and then that's how
women in the culture are like, we don't like
this. Please help us. And that's how you end up with a situation where you have trans activists for Hamas claiming that, you know, in Palestine, in Gaza, you know, whatever you want to call it, being trans is part of liberation. And it's like, no, being trans in Gaza will get you killed. Yeah. Having an abortion in Gaza is completely illegal. The husband has to be aware of it. You know, it has to be like this whole thing. It's super restricted. It's not really a possible thing. So they make up all of this stuff. So you have a left that makes up values to apply to other cultures because they want it to be true.
You guys want to eat snapping turtle?
No.
We got some.
You won't eat a cupcake, but you'll eat.
No, I can't eat that either because it's got soy sauce and sugar and stuff in it. Yeah, so we got kangaroo, alligator. What else is in there?
Is that
Snake?
that big stack of jerkies out there?
Yeah.
I didn't even get a chance to look at it.
I have a problem with the Haitians eating, culturally, I have a problem with the Haitians eating goose now because goose is a Christmas meal, right? Like you should not be eating goose in the summer. And so culturally, look, if you're going to live here in America, you should wait until at least winter to have goose.
Sure, of course.
That's right. Yeah.
The Christmas goose, right? There's a proper way to
There's
do
this,
it.
Or you wait until they're in season and you're allowed to hunt them because otherwise they're protected federally. And the issue is that, like the old passenger pigeon, they'll go extinct
Yeah.
if everyone just hunts them. They'll disappear.
Yeah.
There's this great book by Kensborough Owe, I think it's Kensborough Owe, called The Changeling. And it has a very detailed description of making turtle soup. And it's a brutal process. And it's apparently very greasy and kind of disgusting, but he does it anyway.
Let's jump to this story from ABC News. This one flies in the face of David Muir. Muir?
We just can't do it. We've been
David
trying
Muir.
to pronounce this
David
guy's
Muir.
name for
Muir.
So he says Trump is wrong about what's going on in Haiti. I wonder if he knew that at 7 p.m. yesterday, ABC News reported Ohio was sending troopers and $2.5 million to a city that has seen an influx of Haitian migrants. The governor of Ohio will send law enforcement and millions of dollars in healthcare resources to the city of Springfield as it faces a surge in temporary Haitian migrants. Something is going on in this town that warrants a massive police presence and millions of dollars. Now, whether or not Donald Trump is right or not, if someone came to me frantic saying they're eating dogs in Springfield, I'd say, slow down. What are you talking about? If I heard that it wasn't true, I'd say, tell me what you're hearing about what's going on in Springfield. I've heard they're not eating dogs. Is something else happening? What do you uncover? Trump may be memeing this. Conservatives may be memeing the cats and all that stuff. But it sounds like violent gangs are ruling the streets. It literally says thousands of temporary Haitian migrants have landed in the city in recent years as long-standing unrest in their home country has given way to violent gangs ruling the streets in Haiti. So now they're coming here. Is there reason to believe that perhaps they don't know our laws, our social norms, and it's causing issues? Look, I got to be honest. If I'm out in the middle, let's say me and a Haitian guy fall off a plane. We have no idea where we are. Nothing but trees in every direction. And then I watch him go and grab a goose. I'm going to be like, okay, well, I don't know, right? I don't know where we are. I don't know what the rules are, the norms, or the laws. I'm not going to fault a human being for hunting. The problem is they're brought here. They don't know our laws. They break the laws. There's numerous reports of ducks and geese going missing and being hunted, being eaten, and that's illegal. And so these people are coming here thinking they're doing something normal, but they're not allowed to do. Police and money are being sent in, and the corporate press is going, fake news is not happening. You're wrong.
Yeah, I think it's the same with a lot of the gangs that we see from South America. I did a lot of missionary work in Mexico and in South America. A lot of those countries are completely fallen, and might is right? The police force is corrupt. The military is corrupt. And so whoever has the most guns is the safest. That is kind of the culture of a lot of the countries. And then these folks are brought here by the Biden administration, and they just carry that with them. So you see them taking over hotels, taking over apartment complexes with just arms, because that is their culture. But now we're back to cultural relativism.
Well, and
that is their culture.
We see it in Colorado. We see it in Texas. We see this. I think James O'Keefe put out a report recently that there are at least 400 gang members operating in the United States all across the country. There's a bunch in New York. And there hasn't been any checks on this. And these are people who are able to get in using Biden's refugee program.
Yeah.
Because you apply as a refugee, you come to the United States, you claim that your life is in danger at home. And if you're a violent gang member, you're just going to lie. You come here, you hang out until your refugee case is heard. And as we reported at the Post-Millennial, I think Savannah Hernandez figured this out a couple of years ago under the Biden administration, like after he had said, everybody come on in. And you had Mayorkas saying, we're not saying don't come. We're saying don't come now. And everybody poured across the border. Court dates were being given out 5 years in advance or more. And so a big part of what Kamala Harris is touting as her border security bill is actually getting more judges and more border agents to push more paper to get people processed faster. And we've already seen also that once somebody loses an asylum case, it's not like they're kicked out of the country. They just still hang out for more. No one goes to get them.
No.
We have, criminals who commit violent crimes, like the guys who attacked the officers in Times Square. And I think they got off, 2 of them got off on $1,000 bond. That's it. They're illegal immigrants. They're being processed for crimes. They're suspects in crimes. They don't have any documentation or reason to be here. Why are they here?
That was like Laken Riley's accused killer. I mean,
And a couple of that guy's relatives are part of this Tren de Aragua gang.
Yeah.
His brother, his cousin, whatever else.
He came in under Biden. He was arrested and convicted of crimes, I believe, in multiple states, including New York, ended up in Georgia, and is now on trial. I mean, obviously, he hasn't been tried yet, but it's not looking great. And I just think that this is a problem that we could solve as a country. I mean, if we prioritize the safety of American citizens, we would treat the border like it's an active crisis and secure it in a week.
Obama gave us Mara Salvatrucha, MS-13, right? That was the beginning of enough Americans said, like, why is there a El Salvadorian gang problem in America? How the hell did this happen, right? Well, they were brought here during the Obama administration, and now Biden is giving us this Tren de Aragua gang problem, which is Venezuelan, and the reason why they're here is because we're inviting them in. And so, again, that was an issue that I think Trump hammered a lot last night, and that going back to what you said earlier, Tim, is that if you're just the angry guy, Trump is angry about that, and he should be. Americans should be angry about that. Are they angry enough? I don't know, because this is her responsibility. The border czar should have been the response to every question. Border czar, you're the border czar, you're the border czar, you're the border czar.
I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to say, I don't know a whole lot about what Project 2025 is. Just seemed like Kamala didn't really care. She seemed like she was just smug and sure of herself. And when you come off that way at a time of crisis for somebody, let me just put it this way. You ever get into an argument with someone and you're in a heated moment where someone made a mistake and they're not engaging with you on the issue. They have their arms crossed and they're going, why are you so mad? Why are you mad? Is something wrong?
It's called having siblings, yeah.
Yeah, and it makes you angrier and angrier. You want to know that they feel your anger and that they're in the same game as you. So it drives people nuts when you get into a fight and they keep acting like I'm unaffected. It's actually a tactic for antagonizing, to, trying to be snooty and what's wrong? You're getting really mad. Why are you so angry? Like when they say the fastest way to make someone angry is say, calm down.
Yeah.
That's effective. I hate that.
Yep, exactly. It pisses people off because they'll be like, why are you saying that I'm not angry? And they'll be like, calm down, calm. That's what Kamala was doing.
Or even more, it's like you're not listening to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Trump definitely has capitalized, his anger capitalized on the fact that he sees America in crisis. I think a lot of Americans see America in crisis, economic crime. Even David Muir tried to chime in, well, the FBI does say that crime is statistically down. No American believes that. No American believes crime is down.
Right. That was one of his best moments when he was like, if you go to that study, a bunch of cities that have major crime problems just didn't report their numbers because that's how the FBI rolls. And so you cannot treat that like it's accurate because we can't have cities that everyone knows have crime problems just left off the list. And then you get these results that are like, seems like it's okay.
Yeah. So I think Trump definitely capitalized on the anger that a lot of Americans feel in crisis moment. The greatest crisis of all, the existential crisis that even Joe Biden said is the number one threat to our military, the number one threat, it is the number one issue, is of course climate change, and it got the closing minute. And just to talk about that, because obviously this is my wheelhouse, Kamala Harris and this campaign has ended forever this idea that climate change is an existential threat, because existential threats do not stop becoming existential when they poll poorly. Right. And so I am sure if you went back to the 1944 debates, FDR was talking about Nazi Germany. Right. Reagan and Carter talked about the Soviet threat. Right. Because they were existential. They talked about nuclear threat because it's existential. We were told for years the number one threat facing this nation is climate change. And even Kamala was like, oh, yeah, 30 seconds. Big threat. We spent $1 trillion. So climate change is dead, if it even exists. The existentiality of climate change is over, and the Democrat Party killed it.
Well,
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And to stress your point, it wasn't even a topic of debate.
Nope.
It was a blip on the radar. The bigger issue was democracy. They didn't care about climate change.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, is if you remember back during the 2020 election season after Kamala Harris was selected as the vice president, she and Joe Biden had sort of this campaign platform of 4 big existential crises that they were going to...
Good memory.
That they were going to use to essentially coerce the American people into doing things. Climate, racism, the economy, and COVID. That's what they were. They screwed up COVID. They really screwed up on race. I mean, they made things so much worse between people. The economy, they tanked. And climate, as you just said, Kamala Harris basically debunked the whole climate change thing, because for her in that debate, her whole thing when she was asked about climate change as an existential threat, she started talking about home insurance and creating jobs in the climate change industry. For them, it's an industry. And that's why they had the, Infrastructure Reduction Act, which Joe Biden admitted should have been called, massive climate spending bill. They talk about, EV cars and charging stations. And she said, we have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I've been vice president. We've invested in clean energy to the point that opening up factories around the world. So she's talking about it as though it's an industry ripe for monetization, not an existential threat.
Yeah.
And even Greta Thunberg has changed her whole tune.
Now she just hates Jews.
Now she just hates Jews
Yeah.
and wanders around in a keffiyeh, and she doesn't even notice about the climate anymore. She's probably just going to take one of Taylor Swift's private jets to the next climate or Palestinian rally thing. She doesn't even care about. She doesn't even care about climate anymore.
If you go back,
she ruined her whole education for no reason.
she has no education for no reason. If you go back 5 years, and it's hard to remember, like a pre-COVID, right? Pre-George Floyd, pre-Russia invasion, pre-October 7th, pre-January 6th. 2019, when the world was relatively calm and peaceful and Trump was inevitably going to win, the economy was great, nothing else was really happening, CNN did a 7-hour town hall on climate change. And every candidate, that's back when Amy Klobuchar was running, right? Cory Booker was running.
They had 20 people. They had 20 Democrats were trying to get that spot.
And the whole thing was about climate change because they had to create an existential crisis. They had to find that thing that is so ethereal and intellectual that someone like Trump is just too brash to understand, right? We understand the threat because we're the smart, intellectual Democrats. 7 hours to climate change, and now it was, we have 30 seconds left, and before we go, you want to say something about the climate?
He also
that was all it got.
Trump had a great response to that, which was, have you seen a solar field where they, you destroy all of this land for these solar panels? And he talks about, wind turbines, which I don't know what the stats are on cancer caused by wind turbines or if that's even a thing. I have no idea. But I do know that that putting wind turbines in communities really screws things up. And also the wind turbines themselves, when they break down, they're not recyclable.
No.
So they just land, these giant, massive things just land in landfills, and you can't do anything with them, and you just have to create more to replace those ones. And the way that they use them when they put them out in the ocean or whatever, they get corroded really quickly. So it creates more problems than it actually solves. Meanwhile, if the climate activists were actually interested in saving the planet, they would go for the most clean and, safe energy, which is nuclear power.
Right.
I just like to
climate
point.
when convenient.
I want to point this out real quick because I recently was in Newport, Rhode Island, and it is a Democrat stronghold. Democrat, all across the board. And you guys have been there?
Yeah.
I did the mansion
When I was a
tour.
kid,
Did you see this?
I did the mansion
Well,
tour too when
recently.
I was a kid. It's gorgeous.
Recently,
Not
though.
recently.
Good life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see all the signs everywhere that say to keep it wild, keep the wind out?
Oh,
And it's pictures of wind turbines with circles and lines through them.
They don't want to screw up their view. Same thing
No.
happens in Jersey, off the Jersey Shore. They don't want that stuff.
Nobody wants to see. I don't mind wind turbines. I don't know, but people don't like them.
Well, they have a cost that when initially people were promoting things like solar and wind, they're like, it's fine, you just plant it, everything's okay. But it's always climate when convenient. It's always environment when convenient. I remember when Doug Ducey, the former governor of Arizona, was putting up shipping containers to fill in gaps in the border wall. He got sued by the federal government for a bunch of stuff, but eventually they settled on, well, you're on federal land, and also these are hurting the migration patterns of some sort of, I don't know, some sort of creature.
Illegals.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. No. This time it was an animal and not humans running across the border. Have you seen a solar field? Do you think a deer is going to cross that? Do you think anything is going to survive there? Like, to what end are you saying you're preserving the environment?
Well, you're preserving the environment, but not for people is the thing. You're not actually
For the companies that are benefiting.
Yes,
off it.
And she admitted
yeah.
she admitted they have spent $1 trillion on the climate agenda. And how are we doing? Right? Have you seen a study that our emissions are down, that our air is cleaner, that our water is cleaner? We know one thing for certain: our utility bills are 30% higher. Our gas is higher.
Water
right?
is expensive
So
too.
$1 trillion water at the movie theater is very expensive. So the $1 trillion went somewhere. And I hear defensive of my industry all the time: big oil, big oil, big oil. Big green is a really real thing. If you have $1 trillion to spend, someone is getting very, very rich, and those people are invested in electing Harris.
We're going to jump to this next story, so smash that like button, and here we go. The Washington Post. Taylor Swift endorses Kamala Harris for president. I'm going to say right off the bat, I think this means they thought Kamala bombed.
Yes, this was my as soon as I saw it, I was like,
they made her do it.
Yeah, this is the biggest
We need
win
you,
for Kamala Harris.
Tay-Tay.
And they immediately started selling friendship bracelets. They're posting on social media with references to
Wow.
her, which the friendship bracelets things makes me think it was pre-planned, because if you already have a product photo shot, you must be pretty prepared.
Do you think that
They've got
Beyonce's
these-
going to come out too?
That's irrelevant. She's not as big as Taylor Swift.
They've got cartridges lined up for emergencies. And this debate performance, it is no question the media is going to come out and say Kamala won. As long as she doesn't pull a Joe Biden, they're going to say she won. They want her to. But
It was
also
a
don't
low
forget,
bar, yeah.
they wanted Joe Biden to fail as well. They were worried about down ticket, so they wanted him out, and this gave them their excuse. Almost immediately after the debate, Taylor Swift shuts down the news cycle and takes over for Kamala Harris. That says to me that they looked at what happened and they said, we don't think she did well enough. Launch Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
Taylor.
I 100% agree. She also disabled comments on this post, right?
All of her posts are disabled, though.
Not always. Sometimes they're not. And so it's interesting because she has this post, like she turns her comments on and off, and she turned them off for this post, which I find fascinating. I think part of it is when you read her endorsement of Kamala Harris, she says she champions values and issues that are important to me, but does not name a specific issue. She's more specific about Tim Walz's accomplishment. She mentions women's rights to their body. She mentions
She disabled all comments.
yeah, she goes back and forth on it. But that's what I find
but I'm saying there's no post with any available. All of her posts right now, every single one, comments are disabled.
yeah, I'm telling you, for her account, she goes up back and forth on it.
Right. So
But
the
don't
point
you rather
then-
do them one
the
by
point
one?
then would be sometimes you can comment on all of her posts, or what?
Sometimes you can comment on her post, sometimes you can't.
All of them or some of them?
From what I remember, like when she'll announce an album, people are commenting underneath it.
Okay, well, she disabled all comments on her entire page.
Maybe she's
which
killed
is
all
It's
comments.
because they would just jump to the next post and comment the same thing.
exactly.
But you know who's
as soon
most
as she
likely
made
to
the
do that?
endorsement, they knew comments had to be disabled because it was going to be backlash.
Yeah, and you know who also is really good at spamming comments on social media when there's something they don't like? People who are intensely pro-Palestine, who think that if you're endorsing a candidate who has not backed that movement entirely, that you are actually, involved in genocide. That's happened to a couple different people on social media, but I won't grandstand on the Taylor Swift thing. I think this is fascinating. I think it's so interesting that she could name basically abortion, IVF and whatever for Tim Walz, could not give you a specific detail of what Kamala supported. To me, that means this was pre-written because it was decided before she released her policies.
That's interesting.
I think she shows a great level of disrespect to her fans. I can't say I'm a fan or not a fan of Taylor Swift. I'm not a fan, not just because I'm too old, right? I don't care about Taylor Swift, but I do think she shows a great level of disrespect to her fans because she had to cancel a series of concerts in Vienna because of threats of Islamic terrorism. Islamic terrorism is funded by Iran. Iran is bankrolled right now because of oil and gas money, because the Biden administration, the Biden-Harris administration, lifted every single sanction on Iran. And now you've endorsed Kamala Harris. So your very fans who lost the opportunity to see you, and they pledged to kill tens of thousands of people in Vienna at that concert, where did the money come? Where did the terrorist plot came from? It came from the fact that this administration has made Iran very, very rich. And so to endorse this administration, which is targeting, vis-a-vis Hamas, your fans, don't tell me you love your fans. Go up there and sing your songs and do your thing with Travis Kelce and all that. But your fans' lives were at risk because of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And this is the way you thank them for risking their lives to go to one of your stupid concerts.
Yeah,
so
it's really
shame on you, Taylor.
Well, look, I mean, Taylor Swift developed a worldview when she was being trained at Langley that suggests abortion, and I'm kidding, by the way. But the conspiracy theory, of course, is that she's a psyop. I don't think that's the case, but why does Taylor Swift need to endorse anybody? She's wealthy and well off, and she could just be like, I don't care.
You want to hear my theory on this? I think it's because she's hanging out with Brittany Mahomes. And Brittany Mahomes got in trouble for liking a Donald Trump post. They were at the U.S. Open last weekend together, and then this pro-LGBTQ outlet ran this article that her queer fans are deeply troubled that she hugged Brittany Mahomes, who is anti-whatever and supports Trump.
But Brittany Mahomes is also MAHA, Make America Healthy Again.
Yeah,
right.
But Taylor Swift is just sabotaging her right-leaning fans, and she has them.
She doesn't care about them that much. She just works in an industry where it is socially mandated that you're voting Democrat, and that's why she can't say why she supports Kamala Harris.
She if anyone could say whatever she wanted, it's Taylor Swift.
But she doesn't really care about this. I mean, this is the thing. She's a default Democrat. She talked about, she endorsed Joe Biden last time. She's talked about regretting not publicly endorsing Hillary Clinton. For the third time, she's picked the Democrat. It's not that surprising.
Is she friends with Mahomes?
Yeah, they hang out all the time.
And she's not a default lib. She's just a shill sellout.
Or people have friends who are not necessarily of the political spectrum,
she's probably
right?
just a shill sellout.
I don't know that at this point you can be look at Shailene Woodley. Is that her name?
She's like the environmental activist.
Isn't she married to Aaron Rodgers?
They were engaged at one point and they broke up.
Oh, they broke up. That's sad. But she actually defended Melania. When Melania said, she put up the thing saying my husband was attacked. He's a father. He's a grandfather. She retweeted that. And then she was like, look, everybody knows my politics here. I just thought it was nice. And it's like, no, I think she's just scared and she's actually probably based. I don't know how you're with someone like Aaron Rodgers and you don't agree with you got to agree on some things. You know what I mean? Aaron Rodgers is based,
I think you can agree on something, but I have friends that are Democrat. We're going to vote differently. They're still my friends. I think that there is a tremendous amount of pressure on public, especially pop stars, to be Democrats. And the Kamala Harris campaign depends on allusions to pop stars to seem cool and relevant. Remember Brat Summer?
Yeah.
I think we've talked about the fact that her camo and orange hat.
Stallion,
right.
Was that the thing?
Her camo and orange hat is actually essentially what Chapel Rowan has been using for her merch. I mean, they really, really think that if they can get enough pop power behind them, that they will just be the default decisions for all young people.
They got the go ahead to use all the Beyonce stuff.
I think it's amazing that these gay activists were so angry that she shook hands or hugged Patrick Mahomes' wife, that they demand a response and they get one. That anger always comes from the left, right? You see your leftist friends are the ones saying, if you're going to vote for Donald Trump, my better half Andrew was just saying that on his Facebook page. People after the debate last night, if you're still going to vote for Donald Trump, then just unfriend me right now. I've never seen anyone on the right have that reaction to the left. I've never seen anyone on the right say, if you're going to be friends with a Democrat, then we can't. I've never seen anyone go after Chris Pratt and say, if you don't come out right now, and we are never going to watch another one of your dinosaur films, right? It's always been fascinating to me how the left is so hatefully intolerant.
But it's because they don't have policies. The only thing they have is get in line or else.
Yeah.
On the right, it's I'll convince you. Trust me.
Yeah. They would have been great Nazis. They really were. I mean, they were great Nazis. The left was. I mean, but just the left, their conformity or we will kill you. It's fascinating, and everyone falls for it. What you were leaning towards, and I agree with you. If anyone is uncancelable, you would think it would be Taylor Swift.
She sets the trend.
But maybe she's not. Maybe she's not. Is anyone uncancelable? Joe Rogan probably.
I don't think it's a question of cancel. I think right now she's about to start the final leg of her Eras tour. And so she doesn't want the end of this big peak career moment to be marred by, I wasn't on the right side with my Hollywood friends. it's always interesting because there was this big Swifties for Trump movement that surged. I think conservative people that are interested in pop culture kind of know, like you could meet Taylor Swift, she's not going to want to talk to you about these things, and you're used to it. Whereas if you're left leaning, you really feel like you must have the same values as everyone around you, and so there's a difference in the emotional pandering. People who are conservative who listen to Taylor Swift are still going to listen to her.
Yeah.
The most backlash she got this year was in her new album. There were some religious allusions, and there were a couple Christian evangelicals who were like, "That's not appropriate. I'm not going to listen to her anymore." But it wasn't about economic policy or anything else. Also, so Donald Trump was asked about this on Fox and Friends, and he said, I prefer Mrs. Mahomes, which is kind of funny. But he also said, she's always voting left. It's not that big of a deal, and I think it just kind of is what it is. I find that the idea that Taylor Swift is going to win Kamala Harris the election laughable.
Yeah, well, Beyonce was supposed to do it in 2016. Remember, the night before the election, Hillary Clinton had that concert in State College, Pennsylvania, with Beyonce, Katy Perry, Bruce Springsteen, Bon Jovi. I mean, she had the greatest lineup, and they said it was the biggest rally of the election cycle. But yeah, it was at State College, Pennsylvania. If you're or Happy Valley, if you go to Penn State and you have a Beyonce, Bruce Springsteen, Bon Jovi concert, I'm going to go to that concert too, even if I'm not voting for Hillary Clinton. So they need the celebrity, the celebrity factor. I just wish they would follow the Michael Jordan mantra, which is, Republicans buy sneakers too. Why would it have been so hard for Taylor Swift to say, you know what, I write music and I love that my fans are all over the spectrum and music brings people together. I'm not going to get involved in it. Why isn't anyone ever able to just, we do this for a living, right? I mean, of course we have to give our opinions. We're opinion people, but why do any of these folks feel like they have to alienate folks?
And she wasn't willing to do it for Biden. That's the other interesting thing. I mean, she wasn't. It looked like she might stay out of endorsing anyone when it was Biden, but then Kamala needed her, and she was summoned, and that's kind of fascinating.
That's the real reason they had to get Biden out. They went to Taylor Swift and they said, "Will you endorse Biden?" She said, "Absolutely not." Well, what if we got rid of him? Well, if it was Kamala, I'd do it. And they're like, "We got to get him out."
What was the timestamp? What was the timestamp between her posting that and the debate ending? Was it? I'm curious to see how quickly she wrote that.
It was very, very close. Like I said, I think it
was really quick. Yeah, it was really quick.
So we're supposed to assume that she was watching it, and as soon as the debate was done, she was like, boom, 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 Instagram hit. Instagram, is that where she uploaded it? I'd be curious to see the timestamp of when she posted it to the debate ending.
22 hours ago.
And Gavin Newsom in the spin room was like, "Did you see that Taylor Swift endorsement?" Now he could be on X, seeing it. Or on the other hand, he could have known it was coming and known that if asked any questions about how Kamala Harris did, you divert to the fact that this big fun pop star has endorsed her.
Yeah. So it just shows that Kamala Harris is completely manufactured. Mm-hmm. Right? She's a product. And as a product, she doesn't have positions. She doesn't have policy. She doesn't have a position on her website. She doesn't have a website. She just has a donate
They're there
button.
now, but it's just Biden's.
It's just Biden's.
Right.
She's
good for her. She got him up.
Yeah. Yep.
Good for her finally getting around to giving us some policies.
Yay, what a big girl.
I mean, when are we getting our one-on-one interview? When is she doing the 60-minute, and this is Kamala Harris, not Taylor Swift, but when are we getting the 60-minute sit-down that, Clinton did, that Trump did? Like, I just don't understand why she is this wonderful, amazing speaker. I mean, Taylor Swift called her like a calm leader or whatever. I don't remember. Why doesn't Harris want to talk to the press? If she's so great and everyone in the media loves her and every pop celebrity is lining up to endorse her, why hide?
And her ideas are so good. Mm-hmm. Share them with us.
Tell us.
Yeah. The disqualifying factor, and I wish President Trump hit on this more, and maybe he will in the next debate if there is a next debate.
Go ahead.
The disqualifying factor is that for 3.5 years, she hid Joe Biden's cognitive abilities. And she did not do it for the benefit of the country. She didn't do it for the benefit of Joe Biden himself, who, even though I am not a fan, is a human being and is worthy of dignity. She didn't do it for Joe Biden's sake. She didn't do it for the country's sake. She did it for her own power. And that is a disqualifying position for her. She hid the fact that the nation is in peril because she wanted the job. And that alone should disqualify her. I wish President Trump would hit that. And that's the answer to every question. You stood by silently while this country was going to hell, knowing he was senile because you want his job.
Yeah.
That disqualifies you from anything. If you were an assistant coach and you watch the team fail and you're like, well, I'm going to watch the team fail because I know that I'm going to get if I watch Timcast fail and I'm like, because I'm going to get the job eventually, that is disqualifying for you. And that is why she's unworthy of the job.
Maybe I should take a picture of the cat and say, I saw the debate and I'm going to endorse Donald Trump.
I'm a childless cat lady. I'm not going to vote for Kamala Harris. I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah. She called herself a childless cat lady in that thing, too.
Yeah.
Taylor did?
Yeah,
she like signed it like a letter and said Taylor Swift, childless cat lady.
Oh.
This is who they're targeting.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is, how many childless cat ladies are there in the U.S.?
I think childless cat lady has to start at a certain age, though. Taylor Swift is, and I won't presume to ask your age.
Was she 35?
Taylor Swift is like young. I think cat lady status doesn't really come in until like your late 40s. Right?
No.
Well, because you have to be
That's the
decidedly
bias of the
no
modern era, man.
kids. You know, decidedly no kids.
Yeah,
I think.
the door hasn't closed for Taylor Swift on kids.
How old is she?
That's
What,
true, though.
35?
34, I think.
She's 34.
Yeah, she's too young to
Guys,
be a child.
I'm deep in the pop culture knowledge over here. There's one thing I know about. Sadly, it is white girl pop music.
Well, why not?
Look, I am who I am.
There's nothing
I'm comfortable
wrong with that. I think you should be.
Thanks.
I'm going to do some quick math for you while you guys talk. There are 56 million single women in the United States.
So Adrian Curry posted childless cat lady for Trump. The also her cat looks so cool. It looks like she's got a great cat. Do you think there will be a second debate?
I kind of hope there is. I wish there would be a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth. I think the American people should get the chance to have these questions as often as there should be a town hall.
There should be a town hall where Kamala Harris has to answer questions unscripted from actual voters.
Absolutely.
But I think the next one should be on Fox or Newsmax or something, not whatever. Like with the first one on CNN, you know, it made strategic sense for them to seed stuff. I think ABC proved that they're in the Biden's pockets. I mean, the CNN moderators interjected left, did less fact checking than the ABC moderators.
Well, you have to know that the exec who's in charge of ABC from the Disney side is actually one of Kamala Harris's best friends who introduced her to Doug Emhoff on a blind date in the first place, leading to their marriage about 10 years ago. So that already is that's just so much bias.
There are about
there.
18 to 21 million single women in the U.S. who likely own cats, according to basic estimates.
Interesting.
18 to 21.
And Vance's comments from several years ago apparently is going to drive them all into the arms of Kamala Harris.
Well, how many of them are over 40?
Kamala Harris, who's going to let in more refugees
33%.
to eat your cats.
33%. So the estimate is about 6 to 7 million single women over 40 likely own cats.
So that means 66% of them are still of childbearing years and just haven't had kids yet. They haven't,
Well, I think 30.
I wouldn't call them single cat
35
ladies.
is geriatric pregnancy. I think so.
That's correct.
I think after 35 is like a 40-year-old woman can have kids, but it's
Cameron Diaz just had a baby and she's 51.
Via surrogate.
Really?
Oh, via surrogate? I thought she had a baby by herself.
I'm pretty confident it was via surrogate. I could be wrong.
She may have frozen eggs a long time ago, and
I thought she had a baby on her own, but I could have been wrong.
she may have frozen eggs at 30, and then they do the little
yeah
It's
mixture
still
in
really
the test
hard.
tube, and
It was surrogate.
Surrogate.
I hate that.
So wait, she's carrying
so
someone
much.
else's baby?
No,
She
somebody else
had a
carried her
surrogate
baby.
carry her.
What it is that is actually it's
She
the Handmaid's
hired a
Tale.
woman
She's
to-
the handmaid. You know, she's the wife in the Handmaid's Tale. You know how the Handmaid's Tale, it'll have like the story is so that the men will pretend to have sex with their wives or whatever, but they'll actually impregnate somebody else, and that's like what happens here. Except there's no pretend sex; it's just IVF, which is very expensive.
Wasn't the premise of that like the human population was devastated by disease and the humans are on the verge of going extinct?
Yeah,
and there's only
all
like
kinds of environmental issues that have caused infertility, and the birth rate is collapsing.
And the rich
I don't know if anyone thinks that sounds familiar.
And the rich people can't have children. And the women of the rich couples, aren't they all just really old too? And
Not
so
all
they
of
can't
them.
do it on their own.
I've only
But
seen
that's part of it.
What should a civilization do if that happens?
What should a civilization do if they're
I'm not
on the
suggesting
verge
the
of
Handmaid's Tale
collapse?
is right or correct. I'm saying like if we got to the point where fertility dropped to like people were infertile and the
We're
population was
moving in that
collapsing.
direction.
Right.
I don't know.
What should a civilization do? I mean, humans will cease to exist.
Yeah, well, humans don't really care that much about humans. They care more about the planet without humans on it.
Well, no, that's liberals.
Yeah, there's a lot of them right now.
I mean, I kind of feel like conservatives, the replacement rate it's below replacement fertility even for conservatives. But as long as I see these videos of people with like 6 kids that live on the farm or whatever, I'm not too worried about it.
That's Elon Musk's position, right? Is that
Doesn't he have like a ton of kids?
we
from
have
a ton
to
of
we have
different
to
women?
reproduce. Yeah, we
It's like
have
part
to.
of his whole jam.
Did
I
you see his
love
response
that
to Taylor
way
Swift?
of doing it.
It's a little
but
weird.
It's a little
what did he
weird, but
say?
the idea that we need to reproduce.
It's a little
Elon
eccentric
Musk
billionaire.
tweeted at her, "Okay, fine, Taylor, I'll give you a child and defend your cats with my life." And now the media is freaking out and they're like, "That was such a creepy thing to say." But I have said for a long time, Elon Musk loves tall blonde women at the top of their career, and so there's of course the offer to have children with Taylor Swift was inevitable. We all knew this was coming.
Well, I mean, look, Taylor's got a few more months until it's geriatric pregnancy. And it's funny because I know a bunch of like lefty single men are gonna be like, "Oh, that's so creepy that you'd bring that." I don't care. You can call me whatever you want.
It's the
facts.
truth, though. I mean, when I was like 34, my doctor was like, if you want to have kids, like, now's the time.
Yeah.
You better do it now.
The other thing about Handmaid's Tale is, remember, once the inauguration of President Trump happened in 2017, you would always see the women in red robes everywhere. Another effort that the Kamala is trying to do is to scare people. Like, if Trump is elected, all these bad things are going to happen. And they did that with Handmaid's Tale. But nothing really happened, right? Like, the world didn't end. Women weren't all locked up. And so Kamala has to push this agenda that, like, scary things are going to happen if this guy gets power. They tried that in 2017, and it didn't really work and fizzled out, which is why they talked about climate change.
Well, and people were able to pay for things under Trump, you know? Like, you could buy eggs and groceries. I'll never forget that moment when my grocery bill just kept doubling every week. Whenever that was it like 2021, maybe something around there? But it was like ridiculous.
Bacon.
And I stopped buying bacon and I stopped buying meat. And I was like, why are my groceries still going up? I stopped buying all this stuff that's expensive.
Oh, I'll tell you what offended me is I was at a hotel at the RNC and they put out vegan sausage without telling anybody.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Oh, at the RNC?
Yeah,
I guess it was the hotel's fault, but
it's one of the hotels. And I was getting breakfast and I was having sausage and eggs. Right, I'm trying to cut the carbs and I grabbed the sausage. I sat down. I looked at it and I was like, "What is this?" And then I cut into it and it was like a sponge. And I was like, "I don't think this is sausage. This is vegan." So I complained, and the lady was like, "No, it's good. It's sausage." And I was like, "If I'm allergic to this and it's not sausage, I'll go check." And then she comes back and she's like, "It's not sausage. I'm sorry." They tried sneaking out vegan sausages, hoping nobody would notice.
That's because the Beyond Meat stuff has no shelf life, and they're selling it at a huge,
Preservatives.
so they're selling it.
Content
Exactly, just get it
was
off.
disgusting.
Yeah.
It was like chewing on a sponge. I'm not kidding. I
wouldn't
took a
eat
bite and I was like, "What? This is not food.
Food should not be made in labs.
Should be made by critters."
Yes, and farms and grown and harvested.
That's why I think it's funny when there's that picture of the dude carrying the goose, and everyone's all mad about it. And it's like, I can understand the anger over violating our laws on protecting migratory birds, violating our social customs and norms. But it is kind of funny to me that a dude eating a goose is weird to people, and they go to the grocery store and get frozen dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets and then dip them in high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
I'm like, the goose is better for you.
What's weird, if you've never processed a chicken, if anyone wants to do it, it is gross processing.
Smells bad too.
Yeah, it's just it's a nasty process, and we did it for a long time because it is very cost efficient. But it's easier to go to Costco and get the 2-pack frozen for $4.95. But processing chickens is pretty brutal.
Yeah, but here's the crazy thing. If you guys went out into not even a rural area, but maybe just the far suburbs where you're allowed to have backyard chickens, you just drive 5 minutes to the farmer and drop the chickens off. And then he says, come back in a little bit. And then you come back and he's got the fresh prepared chicken for you. And he says, cook it like a normal chicken, like you got from the grocery store. But this is your fresh grown raised chicken. I got to tell you, it's easy. It's fun. First of all you got to do is you put some wood planks on the ground. Do you do this? You put the planks on the ground with the rope. And you walk up in the morning and you lift them up and the chickens run and eat the bugs. Free food.
I don't do that. We just free range our chickens. We let them
There you go.
out.
Like
and,
grass.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
But they eat everything. They eat grass. They like eating clovers and whatever. And then they make more themselves if you leave them alone. And then you bring the extra ones over to the dude who does it for you.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong.
They eat each other too.
Yeah.
Chickens are carnivores and they're cannibals.
They have no qualms about any kind of incest.
No.
Gross.
Yep.
Their culture's not like ours.
Their genetics are different. So
They're not a superior culture.
yeah, their genetics are different. So there's less of a problem of mutations and deformities with inbreeding. So they actually call it line breeding with chickens. Did you ever do this?
Line breeding is the nice way of saying inbreeding.
That's right.
If it's inbreeding, it's a mistake. If it's deliberate, it's line breeding. And they'll
Right.
do that with horses, with cows, with
You do it with sheep?
line bred. Yeah, I mean, we don't, but yeah, it is done.
Okay.
It is done. And, you know, a lot of people do it with pigs if you're going to eat the kids. You really shouldn't have a boy pig and a brother-sister pig mate and have them reproduce in generations.
Yeah.
But if they're going to mate and have 8 little piglets and you're going to raise them fat and kill them and eat them, brother and sister can mate. It's a little weird, but you wouldn't want those to intermate because that's how you get the apocalypse.
Interesting.
So yeah, the end state is the apocalypse.
I didn't mean
Chickens
to accuse you
are,
of being backwards.
Chickens are so stupid, they don't know to drink water when it's hot out.
What?
Yeah, it's a big problem. Have you ever experienced that? It gets really hot out and chickens won't drink water. And so there's a trick. What you do is you put seeds in water with ice, and when they try to eat the seeds, they get water. Otherwise, they don't drink. And you know, chickens are not very smart, but they're very funny.
They are, and they're cute. love the farm life.
Yep.
Farmers didn't get any mention in the debate, right? I mean, we could go through a list of, and this is what frustrates me about not having the 3 debates that are thematic, right? If we wanted to talk foreign policy, yes, of course, Israel, Palestine, yes, of course, Russia, Ukraine, but we could talk about NATO, we could talk about South America, we didn't mention China, right? Hello, big red elephant in the room, we didn't mention China, right? If we talked about domestic policy, farm policy, ag policy, land policy, right? Gun policy, there are so many things that the president has power over our lives, and that's wrong. It's not the role of the president,
Well,
but that
they
is the way it's
expanded
constant. Exactly. That's the way it is now. The president's way too powerful. But if we're going to give this person all this power, Kamala can't, as you were saying earlier, Hannah Claire, her answer can't be, oh, I don't want to talk to the press. Like, you've got all these great ideas. Well, what are they? I don't want to say. You know, what? Knock,
They're so
knock,
great.
who's
Let
there?
us know.
Yes. Right. And that's the frustrating thing is there are so many things I'd like to ask the president and the vice president, not on gotcha, just honest conversation about really important issues that affect our lives. Yeah. And we just ignore over them. And we talk about, oh my gosh, we talk about abortion for hours on end. And that is an important issue. But there are so many issues that deserve time. And
it's important, but it's not the major issue that affects
sexy.
Everyone's lives, like
sexy.
food production.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Super Chats, so smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, head over to timcast.com, click join us, become a member for that members-only uncensored show, which will be coming up in about a half an hour. You don't want to miss it. Not so family-friendly, but always fun and funny, and you as members get to call in and join us for the show. And that's when you can tell us we're wrong. And I know you're just dying to tell me how wrong I am and everyone else. So you got to be a member and you can super chat or you can get in the member and say, I want to ask a question about why Tim is so wrong. And then you're on the show. All right. Tim Jake says, sad day. Had to say goodbye to one of our cats. He was 13 and diabetic. The last several days were really tough. So it was time to let him go. Sad to hear it, my friend. Sad to hear it. I know all too well. Mr. Bocus, you know, there's only a few bags left of the Mr. Bocus Pumpkin Spice Experience, and that'll be the end. But we're going to make a in memoriam espresso blend called Focus with Mr. Bocus. And, you know, we'll always remember. Now we have Seamus, the cat. But I don't call him Seamus anymore. I call him James because I don't respect the Irish.
Ouch. Ouch. As an Irishman,
I'm Irish, too.
Yeah.
It was funny because I said I posted on X in response to the Russia story, you can eat my Irish ass. And to the journalists. And then people are like, you're Irish now? And I'm like, I've always been Irish. What? Just because like I'm more Irish than I am Korean. Come on, guys. Anyway, it's a joke because we jokingly named the cat Seamus because we were hanging out with Seamus. We caught the cat. And then I made the joke that we should name the cat Seamus 1 and the cartoonist Seamus 2. And Seamus was like, you guys are bad friends. But then now I call him James because, you know, that's the Anglo version. We don't respect that. Seamus, get out of here. We James.
Just like Cromwell. Good job. Don't let the Irish speak their own language.
James, that's right. He's James now. That's what I call him. That's how my cat name became James the cat. All right. Stonebleed says, how many Harris campaign staffers did it take to screw in a light bulb? But wrong. They use gaslighting.
Very good.
Very good. All right. A lad who ate 4 dozen eggs says, we did it, Tim. We got Joe Biden to wear a MAGA hat. There goes Kamala's momentum from yesterday. I can't believe he did that.
It's very funny.
I mean, optics, man. People aren't going to know or care why.
Very odd.
It is in a sense an endorsement.
Yeah.
Run it. Look, the Trump eating the dogs thing. I've been saying this since yesterday. I said it this morning. I guarantee you, come this weekend, I'll be at the poker table, and some guy's going to go, you hear they're eating dogs in Ohio? Yeah, I heard that. What's that about? I don't know. People are saying that migrants are eating dogs. They're not going to dissect Donald Trump's statement. They're not going to follow up with a fact check. They're going to have heard from their buddy who was smoking a cigarette or drinking that some guy, yeah, Trump, here's what's going to happen. They're going to be at work and a guy's going to go, and Trump's saying they're eating dogs now. Oh, what's going on? Then he's going to go to the poker table and it's going to purple monkey dishwash and say, I heard they're eating dogs. Another guy's going to hear that and go, what? Then he's going to go back to another guy and say, yeah, they're eating dogs now. And that's all that happens. So I explain it like this. Imagine you got 3 people. You go to one in the morning and you say, migrants are eating dogs. And they're going to go, that's crazy. What are you talking about? You go to guy B, they're eating dogs. He says, you're crazy. You go to guy C, say the same thing. They all say you're crazy. But then when guy A meets guy B up for lunch, and he goes, did you hear in this? They're saying they're eating dogs.
I heard that. Yeah.
You did? You heard that too?
I heard that. Yeah.
What? And then guy C walks up and goes, hey, are you talking about them eating dogs? I heard the same thing. And they're going, whoa. Yeah. Now they think it must be happening because they're hearing it from two other people, when in fact there was one source of information.
Yep. Triangulated.
Yep. Jackie Octavia says, was driving through Wisconsin and saw an anti-criminal immigration billboard paid for by Democrats for Trump. What? Feel a lot better about Wisconsin, but we must keep fighting. Wow, that's huge. That's actually a really good strategy. If you're a former Democrat, don't abandon being a Democrat, but vote for Trump. And then say you're a Democrat for Trump. A lot of these Democrats are like, I'm a Republican now. And I know, but go be a Democrat and vote for Trump and send that message. All right, what's next? Ginger McIsaac says, I put my finger on why Comrade Kamala bugs me so. She talks like that spoiled cheerleader whose poop isn't stinky. Yeah, stinky after all.
Mean girl.
I think
Heathers, but not Winona Ryder.
I think both Kamala and Trump had their behavior wasn't so good, but Trump had the better version of it. That is, if Trump did what he did with Biden, where he remained calm, Kamala says, you people leave your rallies early. Trump could have just smirked and said, are we here to talk about my rallies? Can we get back to the economy? I'd like to help the American people. Boom. She would have been like, but he took the bait. That being said, Trump being angry is better than being snooty. Yeah. So Kamala Harris coming off as condescending and indifferent is not going to play well. That's why the undecideds, according to Reuters, said Trump. All right, let's grab some more. Polly Pure says, Kamala came off like a high school mean girl, very off-putting to women.
Yeah. Mean girl again.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Kyle says, anyone notice if you ask ChatGPT who shot Trump, it will say no one ever shot at Trump, nor has there ever been an attempt on his life? Yeah, that was a big story.
Yeah, it was weird.
It's still that way? Like ChatGPT will still say
Some
that?
people are still reporting that, yeah. Oh. Oof. Let's go. Chaos for Harmony says, funniest zinger of the debate that no one seemed to catch. Quote, I don't care about her race. I'm just saying there were reports that said she's black. She puts out, yeah, I'll say that. And then she's in full Indian dress. Is that the quote, what he said?
I don't remember.
He puts out?
I don't remember him that part, but
I didn't hear that either.
I did, but it was like, I don't care. I don't care. She says she's black. I don't care. I just think it's funny that now she's black.
He didn't say Indian. That doesn't appear in the transcript.
No, I don't remember that part. But
yeah, he didn't say that.
He did have the indifference, like, I don't care. I don't care what she is.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's just funny that
she be whatever she wants to be.
Yeah.
He said, I don't know. All I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
No, not that she.
Right.
Yes, that she put out that she's not black, which she probably didn't do, but she.
I thought her response body language was weird on that question.
Yeah.
That was one of the times she looked the furthest down, and then was just sort of waggling her head, and you know. I think it would have been she was teed up for this really easy response of being like, my father is black and my mother is Indian. You know, I am fortunate to be in whatever position that allows me to give some sort of diversity speech. But she sort of like, it makes her uncomfortable to talk about her race, which I find funny.
Because everyone wants to be Irish.
I want to read this from the regular chat. Vanguard says, I'm Tim Pool, bald fool. Please buy my coffee. well, I do say that. So, you know. Thanks for the chat, Vanguard. Stephen D. Parker Jr. says, fun fact, Haitian voodoo is practiced widely in Haiti, and like most, if not all, Afro-Caribbean religions include ritual animal sacrifice as a sacrament. You can Google search this right now about animal sacrifice in New York. The story's from like a day ago. 2 days
Oh,
ago.
yeah, it's crazy.
I have photos that my mom sent me. It was her neighborhood.
Really?
I can send them to Serge, and we can put them on. That mom and her church was part of the cleanup after they were done with the animal sacrifice.
How disgusting.
Yeah, very disgusting. Some pigs got out and were running around the neighborhood, but they were brought to a shelter.
All right, Melatesta says, Timcast should offer to host and moderate the next debate. Yes, that would be fantastic. That'll never happen. Kamala's only going to go to a debate where she won't go to the Fox debate. She only goes where it's rigged, where they're going to everything's set
Yeah,
up
it's
for her.
totally not fair because I really would like to see someone ask Kamala Harris what a woman is. And I know it seems like, a lot of people are just like, it's dumb, but it would let us know what her relationship to reality actually is.
We will know for a fact if Kamala is nervous if she insists the next debate moderator is George Stephanopoulos.
Yeah.
And because that means she's desperate, because George, always in a pinch, bails out the Democrat.
Yeah.
I want to see a debate moderated by Alex Jones.
That would be great too.
But I think it's because Alex would just snap and go off on Kamala, and it would like break down to him being like, he would just go on this prolonged rant about the deep state, the things Kamala was involved in. He'd start naming people specifically. Like, just imagine him being like, Vice President Harris, the question for you is on foreign invasion and U.S. involvement in Ukraine. Do you think we should put more money in? And then we start answering. He will snap back and fact check. And then within like a minute, he's going to be running off. General Milley said this, and when you had, Hillary Clinton come in that room, and the advisors were coming, and it would be great to see him like just explode on this rant in front of Kamala Harris.
I also think very quickly they were anticipating she would do poorly, and that's why they chose September 10th, because they knew that today a huge percentage of the coverage would be on September 11th, and they could say, whoa, look, today is not a day to talk politics. We are remembering the lives lost. Or if Trump gloats, it's like, you know what, how shameful that he is talking about this on the day.
But that was
it's not just
deliberately why they chose the 10th.
It's not just 9/11. It's Taylor Swift too.
Yeah.
This morning when I woke up and I turned on Fox, it was 9/11 memorial, and they were running the footage of 9/11 from 23 years ago.
As they always do.
Right.
Yeah.
So the debate stuff was just not in the morning news.
No.
Crazy.
Because they thought she was going to do poorly.
Well, and Kamala Harris on stage, like, it is interesting. I think you're right. The proximity to 9/11 is part of it. I'll also point out the VMAs are tonight, so there are a lot of people who are not interested in politics who are not paying attention to any of that.
Yeah, I am planning to go home and check all the VMA outfits.
But she also said on stage that January 6th was the biggest attack on democracy since the Civil War, which, do you not know what the next day is, my friend? Do you not know that you're about to go to New York and appear with everybody else?
That was crazy.
Wasn't there
Fox brought that up, and I think it was Laura Ingraham, and she was just like, 9/11 is today. Like, what?
Wasn't there a debate that they did the day before the Super Bowl or the morning after? There was, or the kickoff of NFL. There was a presidential debate recently. Maybe it was 2020. Maybe a G chat will come in, or a super chat will come in. There was a presidential debate that they did deliberately that coincided with the NFL, and maybe it was Trump Biden, and I can't remember. So they choose the date specifically if they think they're going to do poorly, and that's why they chose September 10th.
I just loved it. They were like, some guy was sitting in an office and he watched the debate and he picks up his phone and he goes, execute Taylor Swift's plan.
Yeah,
and then Taylor Swift looks around and then she like hits the button.
Tell Taylor it's a go.
They had that post probably drafted and set up and ready to go.
Yeah. I think they added the line as I watched the debate tonight afterwards. I think they had everything else written, and then they were like, it needs to be today. And she was like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. It was Order 23. Was that her album? What was that album?
1989?
89, yeah. Execute Order 89. That's what it would have said. Order 89. And then Taylor Swift hits the button. All right. Let's have another super chat here. Ted Thornton says, Kamala is in over her head. She craves power, is suffering from imposter syndrome, and truly incompetent. Her positions are not clear because she is the epitome of an empty suit.
She also needs to fire whoever's picking her pantsuits. They're not stepping up here.
What was she? She was wearing like Chloe at the VMAs. It was like that beige one.
Yeah, I mean, she's not. She's just picking really weird, dark, neutral colors.
weird.
Did you guys see that clip that went viral where Kamala said that she wants to ban guns, and David Muir is like, "You said that you want to sign an executive order to start to ban assault weapons, but such a power doesn't exist." And then Joe Biden's like, "It's unconstitutional. You can't do that." And she goes, "Joe, instead of saying we can't, how about we say yes we can?" And he goes, "It's unconstitutional."
We covered that today.
That
That
was
was
funny.
ridiculous.
Just say yes we can.
Which is kind of a lot
Wow.
of that was a lot of her response to Trump yesterday.
Right.
Like, I'm not trying to be negative. Let's be positive.
And that's their response to everything. You're not allowed to forgive student loans. Let's do it anyway, right? Like, yes, we
We're
can.
the
I can do whatever I
campaign
want.
of joy.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Oh, Mark Clancy says, after 90 minutes of hearing Kamala's whiny, screeching voice, my head still hurts. This is another thing, too, that I don't think the left wants to admit. They love to talk about sexism, but when you bring up that people likely would not want to vote for a woman because of the sound of her voice, they say, you're sexist. I'm like, well, no, I'm agreeing with you. So I mentioned this before, that I think Kamala Harris is going to struggle because it was about AOC. When AOC did that rally where she was pumping and hooting and talking like this, I'm like, there's a big difference from a deep-voiced tall man banging on a table and talking in a deep voice, and people go like, whoa, and a woman with a high-pitched, raspy voice that sounds frail. And the left attacked me as sexist. They said, Tim Pool's sexist for saying this. And I'm like, no, I'm literally saying that other people are sexist and would not vote for a woman because of that. I believe that's true. I believe the left is correct. People are sexist. So when they see Kamala Harris talking like this, there's a lot of people are just going to be like, no, I don't care what she's saying.
Yeah, there are gender differences, right? Isn't that amazing, right? Like, genders sound different and act different, and people respond to the differences differently. As you were just saying, Libby, ask Kamala, what is a woman, right? It would be a great conversation.
Well, and it
But
would be
that's never
great to
gonna
know
happen.
if she would respond like Maya Wiley did when she was asked in Congress about that just sometime earlier this summer, when she said, a woman is someone who says she is.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh,
You know, it's
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's almost poetic, right? But I want to know if Kamala Harris thinks a woman is someone who says she is, or if she thinks a woman is an adult human female. Because on the one hand, you're, writing poetry to craft policy, and on the other hand, you know what reality is.
The appropriate question in debate is not what is a woman, it's how would you define woman? Because I'll tell you what happens. If Trump said, Madam Vice President, what is a woman? She'd say, wow, Donald, can't say I'm surprised you don't know what a woman is. And they'd go, woo, and they'll start clapping. She'd be like, okay, every woman in the room knows that Donald Trump can't figure out what a woman is. And she won't answer the question. She'll turn it into a zinger. The question is, like, if I was Trump, I'd say something like, we're hearing a lot about this gender stuff in schools, and they're saying that little boys can be girls and little girls can be boys. And Tim Waltz, they call him Tampon Tim because he put tampons for little boys in the bathrooms. So, Madam Vice President, this is your proposed administration. How would you define the word woman? No answer.
Yeah. She wouldn't be able to.
She wouldn't be able to say.
No zingers, no answers, no responses. She might try and say, you don't know what a woman is? And be like, I can tell you, it's an adult human female. Or that's another thing you might want to say. A woman is an adult human female. But what would you say it is? And then she can't answer. It's the attack vector for Trump should be, I can't remember who brought this up on the show. Bring up Israel every opportunity. Trump should have brought up Israel. That was you. Right. That's a good point. Trump should bring up Israel as a wedge issue because it shatters the leftists and the liberal default liberals.
Yeah. Well, according to last night, Kamala Harris loves Israel, knows it has a right to exist and wants to defend it. She loves guns, right? She has limits on abortion. She's not in favor of unlimited abortion, right? She loves oil and gas. She was praising about our oil production numbers. So it's just funny that this is the new Kamala Harris, right?
Trump should have said, they call her Killer Kamala. That's what they're saying outside. They're protesting, saying she's Killer Kamala because Israel and then let her stew on it.
Yeah.
How does she respond to that?
Have you heard some of the interviews from the protest that was last night in Philadelphia? They're saying, like, I won't vote for Trump or Harris, which they were probably these progressive activists were probably never going to vote for Trump. So his campaigner knows that. Whereas they might have voted for a candidate, they typically would have voted Democrat. It's an issue that Republicans don't have in the way that the Kamala Harris campaign does.
And that's why they made sure it wasn't Shapiro, because they were hoping that these people would default if it was not the Jew.
Oh, man.
Right?
The debate would have been brutal if she picked Josh Shapiro. Because the protests would be twice as loud, twice as angry. Social media would be on fire. She'd have no support. The Democrats have a real anti-Semitism problem.
Yep.
And she threw that back at Trump. And this is another missed opportunity. She said the Charlottesville hoax to Trump.
Yep.
Anti-Semitism. And Trump said that was debunked. Everyone knows it's debunked. Trump didn't articulate the responses well enough. Because he did say it was debunked, but he should have said that the full context was, I did condemn the neo-Nazis. However, Madam Vice President, right now outside, they're calling you Killer Kamala, and your supporters are anti-Semites.
Yeah, why didn't he mention that? Because there were protests out there, and we didn't hear a lot about it.
No.
But he needed to flip the anti-Semitism thing back on her. He could have easily said the Republican Party doesn't have a problem with anti-Semitism. It's the Democrats. It's the people outside right now screaming and demanding that Kamala Harris stop supporting Israel.
It's the college students across the nation who are shutting down the quads, right? Who are all the academic leftists, and their professors and their university administrators. They're the ones who are the anti-Semites. Missed opportunity, unfortunately, Mr. President. Missed opportunity, which is why we need a second debate.
James C. says, I work on the port of Tampa, and we are gearing up for the ILA strike. This will cause some shorts on imported items. Strike start first of the month. Really? What's going on with that? I didn't hear about that.
ILA, as in the initials? ILA?
That's what it says. It says ILA. ILA strike.
International
I don't know about it.
Labor, I don't know what ILA stands
Association.
for. Yeah. Huh. Haven't heard about it. Port of Tampa is a big one. That one gets shut down. Bad things will happen.
Yep.
Yeah,
look it up?
new ILA doubles down on strike threat as shippers brace for port chaos.
Yeah, International Longshoremen's Association.
Oh, longshoremen.
Shut them
boy.
down. Oh, I remember. I went to school with somebody who was in the Longshoremen's Union.
Oh, boy.
I read this thing that said back in the day, longshoremen contracts on the East Coast said you couldn't feed them lobster more than twice a week.
I was in the old days. Yeah, that was true in Maine as well. Like people who had
Lobster is
servants
so good.
weren't allowed to feed their servants lobster more than twice a week.
That's crazy.
That was part of it. I mean, because there's like Hannah Nightingale, who's at the Post Millennial. She's from Maine, and she hates lobster.
Oh.
She's like, there's just too much of it. I'm just done. I don't even like it anymore.
That's crazy to me. I could eat steak forever.
I could also eat steak
I could eat lobster and steak forever
Yeah,
and never be unhappy.
That's what I'm saying. So I went to Maine and got fresh lobster, and we were just eating. It was awesome. I was just in Newport, and I got a full lobster, and they bring it on a plate, and it's the full thing, but the shell just pops right off, and then you got all the meat right there. It's delicious. I could eat it forever.
Yeah.
And then here's the thing. Like, I understand they grow up around it all the time, so like, no, I don't want any more. There's steak everywhere. I will eat steak for every meal of the day if I could.
I grew up around a lot of pasta. I still will eat a lot of it. I'm
In
happy
fact,
about it.
No.
I'm going to go to the restaurant this weekend, and I'm going to get a filet mignon with a lobster tail.
You're making me want to go get some nice fillets.
I kind of want to eat right now. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm getting a little hungry. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm a damn good cook. I should have you guys over for dinner sometime. I'm a really good cook.
I believe you. I will come hang out with
How far
you
away,
at dinner.
time-wise, how far away are you?
35 minutes.
Oh, that's not far at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we cook one of your animals or something?
I have a ton of lamb, and I don't always make lamb for my guests because some people who dislike lamb really dislike lamb.
I love lamb.
I have a ton of lamb.
Like gyros.
Yeah.
Gyros.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say because you can see them from our dining room window.
Oh,
and
no,
people
no,
feel
no,
weird about it.
No, and when the few that we bring to slaughter, we mix up and we don't know who's who. And then they're just in the freezer. Our sheep have, as Andrew says, they have a wonderful life and one bad afternoon.
As long as it's food, I'll eat it. There's the few animals that I won't eat are the American social norm animals. So, dogs, cats, whales.
Horses? You don't eat a
Yeah,
horse?
I won't eat horse.
Yeah.
But so if I'm starving to death and we're out hunting and like the world has ended, I'm gonna eat tree leaves. I'm gonna eat whatever I can, like, you know what I mean? But I would likely only eat horse on a rare occasion, but I'm not as off, like horse is not as off limits as say like a dog or cat. I'll tell you the one real reason why I would never eat dog. The principal reason is man's best friend, strong social connection to our culture, and it feels immoral to do so. But there's a practical reason. It's that they say if you eat dog, dogs can smell it forever.
Ah.
Interesting.
So you know how dogs can like detect cancers and tumors. A dog can smell when you're about to have a seizure, like crazy stuff. I've heard that if you eat dog, dogs can smell that you've eaten dog, and it will create strained relationships with future dogs.
Yeah.
So I'm very much in the mind of like I'd like to be friends with all dogs, even the bad ones, if I can try and be friends with them and they're willing to be friends. I see someone's dog and the golden retriever's all happy and doofy. You want to be friends. But they say that if you've ever eaten dog, the dog's going to know.
Yeah.
The dog will look at you. That's why I wonder, because I see some people and the dogs growl at them just for no reason. And you're like, ooh, I wonder if the dog's like, ooh, you ate dog before.
Dog had said
You're
something.
not a friend of mine. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, well, that'd be, I mean, in addition to that, just being a horrifying things to do, specifically from the culture that we're in.
Yeah, you don't eat dog. That's wrong.
Yeah, I would never want dogs to not like me. I'm always so happy when there's dogs.
Yeah, dogs are good people.
Eventually, when I travel less, I would really like to have a dog.
You know, as much as people rag on cats, cats are actually pretty good people too. And I think that's why dogs and cats are like the top pet. You know, so like James, our cat now, he's a good dude. He's silly, and he can be annoying, but he's a good dude. You know, he's friends. He's friends with you.
I like that in America, rabbits are on the fence. Like some people have pet rabbits, but then also you could get a nice rabbit at a restaurant.
We got rabbit jerky in the other room.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind eating rabbit. I don't care.
That's a great point. What animals are on the cusp? There
Yeah.
are people who have pet rabbits. I know people who raise rabbits.
Turtles.
For food.
Yeah.
Turtles are pets and food.
Yeah.
Turtle stew.
I mean, chickens are kind of pets. Pigs.
Yeah,
Lots
chickens.
of house pigs.
People will have fish in their, like there are tropical fish that are pets, but there are fish that you catch while you're fishing, and those ones you eat.
Well, I'll tell you this. There's a story of this dude who was at a party, and they were all drinking, and then someone found a slug, and they dared him to put it in his beer and drink it, and then he died.
Yeah. Don't joke with slugs.
Yeah, don't.
Whatever bacteria they have. I remember
would you
that
eat
exact
slugs?
same
Yeah.
report. Yeah.
Yeah.
As like a dare, because idiot 15-year-old, 25-year-old kids. Who mentioned tampon, Tim? You did, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking about having been a 12-year-old boy at one time. I can't imagine the 12-year-old boys' bathrooms with the tampon.
They destroyed it.
And
see it?
They're doing Martian ears, and like I would love to have seen these 12-year-olds with like.
Did you see the story though? They ripped it down. They ripped the tampon dispenser down and destroyed it.
There you go.
Yeah, because why do boys want stuff? I used to have this playwriting professor in college, and she had this play that was about part of the play was two guys having a fight in a women's bathroom in a bar. Like they ended up in there, and one of them ends up bleeding, and the other one says, oh, I don't have any bandages, but here, use this, and pulls a like pad out of a dispenser.
This happens in that Amanda Bynes movie, She's the Man.
And it seems like that would just never happen.
Well, she's like pretending to be her brother. She can play on the soccer team or whatever. And her roommate finds a box of tampons. And she says, oh, well, they're for nosebleeds. They're really absorbent. You never do this? I mean, look, I'm sure they could find a use for them, but that's not helping the female students who actually need the product.
All right, everybody, we're going to go to that members only show. So smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show with your friends. Head over right now to timcast.com, click sign up on the top right, or join us in the menu. Become a member to support our work, because this show is made possible because of viewers like you. And you'll get access to the Discord server. You can submit questions and then actually join in the next hour of the show, which will be on timcast.com uncensored. You can follow me on X at Timcast. Daniel, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, Daniel Turner, Power of the Future, powerofthefuture.com. Shoot me an email, daniel@powerofthefuture.com, if you want to talk about energy, environment, fossil fuels, all those fun things. And if you love sheep and farm life, Bristol Farm, Virginia on Instagram. We are Virginia's premier sheep farm. Bristol Farm, Virginia on Instagram. Follow us and you'll see some cute dogs and sheep and all the animals. Thanks for having me
Also,
on.
you did a crazy thing with the wool, and you like spread it all out.
You follow us.
I-
Weird. Yes.
I see almost all of your posts.
We put it along in the path in the woods
Yeah.
to try to keep down. We have so much damn wool. We have so much we didn't know what to do with it.
Do you have like a spinning wheel?
We've
Like,
been
can you
trying to
do
give it away. If anyone wants wool for free, you just have to come get it. We've been
I would
trying
love
to
a spinning
give it
wheel.
away.
I would love to like know how to do that.
I want someone to make
don't
me
prick your finger on
a
it,
Bristol
though.
Farm sweater. Like I want a product from your wool because
I think that would
don't
be
have a purpose for a
amazing.
baby lamb, but a
Timcast
sweater
is-
would be cool.
Timcast is always looking for content. We can find someone who knows how to have a spindle and wool, and there's a show.
I feel like
What's the Instagram for it?
figure that out.
Bristol Farm, Virginia.
It's actually a good Instagram. I'm Libby Emmons. I'm with The Post Millennial. You can check out what we're doing at thepostmillennial.com and humanevents.com. And also you can follow me on Twitter at Libby Emmons. I'm also on Instagram, as you just discovered, and you could follow me there, but I think there's a period in the middle, Libby.Emmons maybe. You could also, apparently I have this newsletter, I wake up early and write it every day, and you could follow that too. It's thepostmillennial.com/Libby.
And it's also your birthday. So
Oh, and it's my birthday. And if
Birthday
anyone
to
wants to
you.
see these cupcakes
Birthday
with the
to you.
Nutella icing,
Happy birthday to Libby.
I'm going to eat one in the break.
Happy birthday to you.
Here's these cupcakes. I'm very happy with them. They came out good.
I might have a
thanks
second.
for spending your birthday
this will be
with
my
us.
third cupcake today.
Yeah, I'm excited to try mine. Thanks for spending your birthday with us.
Thanks.
Daniel, thanks for coming to do
Thank
some
you.
post-debate breakdown. I'm Hannah Claire Brimlow. I'm a writer for scnr.com, Scanner News. Follow all of Scanner News' work at Timcast News on the internet, especially a lot was on the ground at the protest yesterday. That's his favorite thing in the world. I'm sure you guys would be interested in his content. I'm on Instagram at hannahclaire.b. I'm on Twitter at hannahclaireb. Thanks for everything you do. Have a great night.
We will see you all over at timcast.com in a few minutes, but it's going to be Brimcast.
Thank goodness.
I'm going to try and get some sleep because you can tell that I was sick this morning and tonight, so Hannah Claire will take over the uncensored show. But we'll see you all there in a couple minutes. Thanks for hanging out.